dive into authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that uplift and inspire us, from personal growth to social change. So grab your teacup and get ready to join the conversation. And do a show, and London said no, and they arrested Chris Brown. Hold on, guys. I got my audio already up. They arrested Chris Brown in London. So we're going to get right into it. Hot topics, hot tea topics on this Saturday afternoon. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Let's get it.
And Grammy winner Chris Brown appeared in court for allegedly attacking a London music producer 2 years ago. According to the allegations, Brown beat the producer with a bottle at a London nightclub and chased him down when he tried to run. Prosecutors say the alleged attack was unprovoked. Brown's court date is set for June 13th, 3 days after the start of his upcoming tour. He has not entered a plea for the charge yet.
Let me show you why I stopped paying for all my other sample libraries. This is Arcade by Output. This thing has sounds, samples, instruments.
And Grammy winner Chris Brown appeared in court for allegedly attacking a London music producer 2 years ago. According to the allegations, Brown beat the producer with a bottle at a London nightclub and chased him down when he tried to run. Prosecutors say the alleged attack was unprovoked. Brown's court date is set for June 13th, 3 days after the start of his upcoming tour. He has not entered a plea for the charge yet.
They are saying that it was unprovoked. So Chris Brown beat somebody amongst the head, right, about his head, unprovokedly. I just made that word up, but it sounded right. Unprovoked. Like, wow. What is going on here?
And Grammy winner Chris Brown appeared.
That's Chris Brown appearing, okay, in London. The United Kingdom orders him into custody on assault charges, y'all. This is crazy. Oh, my God. So what do we know about this, guys?
I don't know which way is up, which way is down.
Chris Brown arrested. The 36-year-old Grammy winner reportedly taken to jail in England for an alleged attack at a nightclub there 2 years ago.
Certain things or decisions that I made, I wouldn't have thought that would have been in my character.
Investigators tell ET an arrest happened just after 2 a.m.
So
on
where did he
Thursday
forget about it?
outside this five-star hotel in Manchester. Brown's believed to have arrived to the area on his private jet just hours earlier.
I was so surprised.
Here's what allegedly happened. According to The Sun, a music producer is accusing Brown of an unprovoked ambush at the trendy London nightclub Tape back in 2023. The alleged victim claims the R&B star hit him over the head with a bottle, then punched and kicked him as he lay on the floor. He says he was treated at a hospital and needed crutches to walk when he was discharged. The producers also reportedly launched a civil complaint seeking $16 million for injuries and losses as a result of the alleged incident.
Are there a lot of snakes pulling at you?
It's always gonna be snakes, man. Snakes everywhere.
ET's reached out to Brown's legal team for comment. So far, he's still set to launch his upcoming world tour in Amsterdam on June 8th.
I think my talent speaks for itself. So, I mean, if you want to buy into the brand of Chris Brown as an artist and an entertainer, fine by me. Love you.
The dad of three has a history of violent behavior dating back to 2009 and his felony arrest for assaulting then-girlfriend Rihanna. E.T. spoke with him about his time in jail before he was sentenced to community service and 5 years probation.
You spent your 25th birthday
Yeah.
in prison.
It was stressful, but it was an experience to make me never want to be in that situation again.
You said that you feel like 50-50 that trouble follows you around. What did you mean by that?
Before I was incarcerated, I had a lot of real bad influences. In the past, my decisions have been, not as smart as they should have been. It's on me to make sure I'm not in the midst of the garbage. I think everything happens for a reason, but also everything's a learning experience. Sometimes you gotta go through trials and tribulations or rough times to get to where you need to go or to see the right path.
So then we're wondering, why is Chris Brown speaking of such, ways that he has transformed his life into living a life of, solidarity, where he no longer has these moments of instances occurring in his life where they're impulsive, they're intrusive of other people's boundaries and livelihood. However, yet here he is in a jail in United Kingdom without bail.
This is your sign.
Well, we're sipping tea this morning, currently on the Chris Brown, jailed in United Kingdom. When you come into the tea room, please like and subscribe when you get your teacup filled up.
Examining Cassie Ventura. There are a lot of people in the courtroom confused about why the prosecutors obsessed over domestic violence that isn't really related to the crimes for which Diddy.
Weed is not an impediment to parenting.
When you smoke weed, don't you get a head change?
I'm different, but in a more brilliant way.
I would hope so.
Honestly.
Joe Jonas seems to have a new love interest in his life. He was on a 3-hour date.
Joe Jonas went through a very public, nasty divorce. Does she say, I heard about this?
No.
I think it came up. Of course it came up.
Harvey, you think she brings up, so you're accused of kidnapping?
Chris Brown has international issues after being arrested in Manchester for a 2-year-old warrant.
Chris Brown went over there for a tour. Clearly he didn't know that he was about to be,
Can you outrun the law like that?
I got a parking fine in America and they found my Australian address. Did you pay it, or you said, no, I'm still not paying it?
This is going to go up and up and up and up.
At some point they'll start seizing stuff.
They'll take away your boomerangs, they'll take away everything, dude.
By a guy over the phone. Anna Camp from Pitch Perfect and True Blood, and she said when she was
Hit on it in our new documentary, TMZ Investigates What Happened to Justin Bieber, now on Hulu.
$1 billion.
Why didn't you get into makeup? You would buy makeup that Harvey wears?
Hey, you could look 64.
Yeah. One word, bronzer. So catch T.
You have been more disappointed with the punchline to that pitch.
Yeah.
You and me both.
Come on, she had some good songs.
Lizzie McGuire's
Mary, this is the reason I got married, because she was going on Tinder and she was actually taking dates. So Daniel signed up to Tinder to find
find Hillary Duff, and then he found me.
Ended up with you.
What lucky.
The American R&B singer Chris Brown has appeared in court today, charged with grievous bodily harm with intent in connection with an alleged assault at a nightclub in London 2 years ago. Our reporter Alison Freeman is at Manchester Magistrates Court. Alison, what more can you tell us about this case?
Well, Ben, as you can imagine, there has been quite a lot of media interest in the appearance of this very high-profile R&B star here at Manchester Magistrates Court this morning. The press benches were full and an overflow room had to be set up within the court for reporters and for fans. When Chris Brown appeared in the dock just after 12:15, he was wearing a black t-shirt and black tracksuit bottoms, and he spoke only to confirm his name, date of birth and address during the hearing, which lasted about 40 minutes. Now, Mr. Brown, who is 36, is charged with causing grievous bodily harm with intent at a nightclub in London in February 2023. It's understood that he arrived by private jet to Manchester Airport on Wednesday. He was then arrested early yesterday morning. He is currently on tour and is scheduled to play several dates across the UK over the next couple of months, 3 of those here in Manchester next month. The singer did not enter a plea today, and he was remanded in custody until his next appearance at Southwark Crown Court on the 13th of June. Ben.
Okay, Alison, thank you very much.
Chris Brown jailed.
The best way to attract high-ticket coaching clients is not
jail. Apparently, he struck someone and repeatedly attacked them and caused them brutal bodily harm. Back in 2023, and allegedly it's over absolutely nothing whatsoever. Okay, Chris Brown, y'all, he's a hot topic on today's Tea Talk. Grammy-winning singer Chris Brown is to stay in United Kingdom police custody after the judge denies bail in an assault case. This is the person I believe they are seemingly saying Chris Brown attacked. This is Chris Brown, his mug shot from when he has just been recently jailed this week in the United Kingdom over the alleged assault. Singer's next court appearance is set for June 13th at London Southwark Crown Court. Charges stem from a violent altercation at London's Tate nightclub in February of 2023. Okay. During the altercation, Brown allegedly smashed a tequila bottle over a music producer's head. So this was over a music producer. I think the guy that we first saw in the first clip. Police claim Brown attacked Abe Diawa repeatedly with the bottle before stomping on him while he lay unconscious. So if we're wondering, sippers, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, on this Saturday afternoon. So glad that you guys are joining me. We are sipping hot tea. First hot teacup we're sipping from today is Chris Brown. He has beat B. Diawa, a music producer over in London, with a bottle of tequila, then stomping him down while he lay unconscious on the ground. Okay, this is what is coming through hot off the tea press about Chris Brown. Chris was taken into custody on May 15th, shortly after flying back into Manchester on his private jet. So what I'm seemingly believing is that Chris Brown left the occurrence, got back on his private jet, flew back over to wherever, landed, maybe forgot about it or just subsided it to the back boiler of his brain and left it there until he was reminded of it when he went back to Manchester around May 15th. So CPS confirmed the charge and warned against online commentary that could affect the trial. I don't know what that means because you guys are putting it online, so we're going to talk about it. Despite the charge, Brown's 2 Manchester concerts under his Breezy Bowl tour in June are still scheduled as planned. So his team, right, is assuming prayerfully that Chris Brown will be released on some type of bond before he gets a chance to either plea or go to trial on this assault case in the United Kingdom so that he can still attend his tour he has out there, scheduled to take place in June. So as we know, Chris Brown is no stranger to controversy, violence, alleged ape assault. He has a whole documentary out. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about Chris Brown's documentary, okay? So I've watched it. I've covered it. I believe it's covered on Facebook. It might be covered here on YouTube. I'm not sure. But Chris Brown's documentary. It was a lot of ape allegations going on. Okay, so we're going to take a listen to this.
R&B musicians of our time. Now, we'll delve into the full story of his relationships, which haven't been as successful. Welcome to the Top Art Legends. Let's start with singer Rihanna.
So who cares about what I spend?
We're not going to do any
in
music.
2004 at the Zed 100 Jingle Ball concert and continued to cross paths in the music industry as their careers were just beginning. However, rumors their romantic relationship started surfacing only in 2008. Initially, they denied these rumors. "We are best friends. Honestly, we are like brother and sister," Rihanna told MTV News. "He's an amazing person, but we are not dating. We're very close friends, though. Very,
we
very
really know
close."
about Chris.
But after a few months, they started
I
dating.
really want to get
In 2009, Chris and Rihanna dominated headlines when he was arrested for physically assaulting Rihanna.
Are outside of relationships, like the gang violence and things like that. Gang involvement, things like that. Okay. Because it's reportedly alleged that Chris Brown represents the Blood Gang out of Virginia, where he's from. Okay. To just give us more of an insight into Chris Brown's, dealings with assaults and things like that, okay? Wait, I can't hear. Can you guys hear? Hold on, guys. We can't. Okay, there we go. There's the value. Okay.
I don't want to sound cliche, but you gotta just stay dangerous. Like, I feel like out here, it's very, very influential. It's very. I've been out here since I was 15. Like, so I back
You
and forth.
practically raised out here.
Yeah. So politics that come with certain shit, like I understand, but at the same time, it's like you get a long way by having respect and respecting where you at.
Is it culture shock? Yes, thank you. We've been hanging out too much.
No, I think you just gotta I don't want to sound cliche, but you gotta just stay dangerous. Like, I feel like out here, it's very, very influential. It's very. I've been out here since I was 15. Like, so I back
You
and forth.
practically raised out here.
Yeah. So politics that come with certain shit, like I understand, but at the same time, it's like you get a long way by having respect and respecting where you at.
Is it culture shock?
No.
Yes, thank you. We've been hanging out too much.
Okay. Chris Brown said you got to stay dangerous. Okay. Let's see. Blood gang member exposed Chris Brown. What's this? Let's take a listen.
I mean, someone like Chris Brown he got a lot to lose.
I mean, but Chris Brown ain't in it. He just affiliated. He not in the streets putting in no work. What you got to lose just by? I mean, he ain't doing shit, bro. Like, he just affiliated, bro. He ain't in the streets doing no drills and spending the block on niggas. So.
I mean, someone like Chris Brown he got a lot to lose.
I mean, but Chris Brown ain't in it. He just affiliated. He not in the streets putting in no work.
All right, so you heard it from this guy right here.
He ain't doing
who
shit,
is
bro.
actually a blood gang member. He said Chris Brown is not.
He ain't in the streets doing no
quoted blood
drills and spending the
Okay,
block
he is
on niggas.
affiliated with the blood gang.
I mean, someone
around
like
in
Chris
the
Brown
hood
he
showing
got a lot
love to the blood gang, probably for some type of security reason in the streets. This is Whack 100, y'all, speaking on Chris Brown and his affiliate, or however have you association with claiming the blood gang.
I've always meant to ask you this. What exactly is the whole story behind Chris Brown claiming blood. I never understood this because Chris is from Virginia. And when he came out, he was still a teenager. And it seems like this thing came as an adult after he was already a multimillionaire. Am I right?
Definitely. He definitely did some things. In reverse. When people in this situation would run from it, that come from that, he ran to it. Right. Now, years ago, when people would ask me this, I wouldn't acknowledge him. But Chris Brown has been about 10 years of him been standing on, I'm from Fruittown, Piru.
Well, he's not from Fruittown, Piru.
Oh, he's from Fruittown, Piru.
He's from Virginia.
No. Chris Brown, and it's coming out of my mouth, is from Fruittown, Piru. It's a guy over there, the same guy that brought Soulja Boy, Chris Brown. He's associated with Kyrie Irving. It's a little guy over there, real little guy, named Waxstar.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Right?
Not personally, but I know of him.
Yeah, on Bompton on Instagram, right? That's, all of them came through him, right? Now, I'm going to enlighten you a little more. Rick Ross, you've heard him mention a guy named Big Duck, one of his security guards, right? That's Waxstar's dad.
Okay.
Big Duck is a G homie to all us Pirus, period. So when you got that dynamic there, right? And Chris Brown, for the last decade, at one point in time, I wouldn't acknowledge him as that because I come from that, right? But for the last, he ain't playing with it. By now, like most dudes would have been retreated. When you see him, he got homies with him. You go to his house, he got homies with him. He moving with the homies. He functioning with the homies. He programmed with the homies, the ones he fuck with, regardless of where they from, right? So, you know, I don't take him for granted when it come to that. You know, if somebody asks me, you know, if Chris Brown's from Piru, I'm going to acknowledge him today. Years ago, I wouldn't have. Right now, is he Game? No, Game come from that. Is he fucking Kendrick? No, Kendrick comes from that. But he has done the things that he needed to do from what I'm seeing and understanding, you know, to get his respect when it come to that. So I definitely acknowledge that's where he's from. Now, yeah, he's from Virginia or whatever, but he rooted in Fruittown, Piru, and the Fruittown Pirus is embracing him, and he hasn't done anything that I know of to go against that, to violate that. So as far as Wack is concerned, I acknowledge him as a Piru.
But what does that mean to a multi-million-dollar adult?
You gotta ask him that, because
you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not
coming from that, right? I try to create my divisions and my walls, right? I'ma always be that. But we were trying to get out of it. We were trying to break out of it. CB broke into it. So I don't know. Maybe it's in his heart. You know, maybe, you know, I know what it feels like to just, that's your mentality. You know, I come from that as a youth when I was younger. So I don't know. That's a question for CB. Like,
so
what is it doing for you? What's
Chris Brown, Wack 100's take on Chris Brown's affiliation and gang involvement with the Piru blood.
Chris Breezy is a perfect example of a clean-hearted celebrity getting sucked into the murky world of gangs after he became a millionaire megastar. Born in Virginia, Chris Brown's upbringing was a million miles away from the red bandana-draped blood gang dominating the streets of South Central Los Angeles. Inspired by Michael Jackson as a child, Chris Brown was a natural performer, and he would quickly make a name for himself in the music industry, winning talent shows as a child.
I think I did one actual talent show. It was at summer camp.
Oh, okay.
It was at like a summer camp I did.
You better have won.
Oh, I won.
Okay, I was gonna say because somebody got bragging rights.
Yeah, I know. I definitely won, and I did. It's funny. I did Thong Song Cisco.
Oh, man.
Bro.
And getting discovered as a teenager, eventually moving to New York and shopping his demo tapes to major record labels, resulting in a major deal with Jive Records, alongside the likes of Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. His first major single, Run It, swiftly rose to the #1 spot on the Billboard charts, and he was instantly a multi-millionaire megastar. From here, he would go on to release hit after hit, landing more #1 songs and huge collabs with other popping artists at the time, like T-Pain. Chris Brown was a megastar with a clean-cut image that made him a brand-safe A-list celebrity with the whole world.
Exactly. Chris Brown was a mega star with a clean-cut image. Now bringing Chris Brown up today.
At his feet. That would all change in 2009 when his relationship with a fellow A-list megastar, Rihanna, would come to a dramatic end as stories circulated of Chris Brown assaulting her.
A police department release says the R&B singer and a woman got into an argument in a vehicle early Sunday. The release says the argument escalated when they got out of the car. Police responded to a 911 call. Officials say they found the alleged victim, but that Brown had already left.
This caused Chris Brown's image in the public to take a nosedive, losing his most lucrative endorsements and turning the public against him. This ultimately resulted in criminal charges.
And this is why we tell our kids not to, look to these celebrities and pop megastars and athletes and shit like that. Why? Because some of them are dumb. Chris Brown waited until he was a full-grown man that was well established in life to live the rest of his life as however he pleased and die very comfortably and nice, sleep in his bed. Now Chris Brown has decided to affiliate himself with one of the most notorious gangs in the country called the Bloods, where that has not been such an easy feat for Mr. Chris Brown now, has it? He's a target for all types of salacious moments like Diddy moments, R. Kelly moments, things like that. He's going into all types of abusive and assault charges and beating up people and things that are notorious with gangs, right? Okay.
Years probation and 6 months community labor for Chris Brown for his beating of Rihanna. The sentence handed down Tuesday by LA Superior Court Judge Patricia Snag, as she also warned the R&B singer to stay away from his ex-girlfriend for 5 years.
Chris claimed himself to have gone from the top of the world to public enemy #1. Interestingly, Chris Brown was able to bounce back from his domestic violence convictions, but ultimately his image was forever tainted. He could never be the clean-cut, singing and dancing darling that he once was. He was now a convicted criminal, and despite never having grown up in the life of crime, unfortunately now, with a stain on his reputation, the streets would come knocking. What's clear is that by the early 2010s, Chris Brown was seen regularly wearing red and repping Fruittown Piru, a notorious blood set from Compton, California. But how this affiliation came to be is open to interpretation and rumors. Some have suggested that this was Chris Brown getting extorted or buying his way into the Blood Brotherhood for clout, while other rumors would circulate that he was actually jumped into the Fruittown Pirus at the young age of 16 after a brief spell in an LA jail where he apparently turned down no squabbles. One clip would even circulate claiming to show Chris being initiated into the gang, though it really seemed to just show him vibing with his set. Interestingly, Chris Brown had been performing with the former child star Bow Wow in LA as early as 2007, and Bow Wow was later caught on camera also yelling on Piru whilst having a public meltdown during the filming of an episode of his reality TV show.
Dance over here. What happened? What are y'all set on Pyro? What happened? I just came out like, huh? What?
Online rumors have also suggested that Chris Brown had been hanging out with people associated with the game's music label Black Wall Street already in the late 2000s. This label including artists like Compton Menace, a Fruittown Piru rapper who made an appearance in Tyga and Chris Brown's 2010 music video for the song G Stuff. Another post on a forum would allege that by 2013, Chris Brown had been having blood protection already for years.
Exactly. Blood protection, security is what I'm looking at it being for Chris Brown's situation. I mean, it probably just, you know what I'm saying, something snapped or switched in Chris Brown's mind. He decided he wanted to live that bad boy era. He didn't want to be the darling and the, the good boy, the good guy. That wasn't, I mean, the music was getting the girls, so I don't know. You know what I mean? He was getting the girls. I guess he wanted a different kind of girl. A girl that liked the bad boys.
Specifically stating that a rapper called Parlay Star, an alleged Pueblo Bishop Blood, had taken Chris under his wing when Chris first moved to LA, and even stood up for him during a beef with the former B2K R&B boy band member Raz B in 2010. On social media, a Twitter user would mention as early as 2011 that Chris Brown owed his life to Parlay and was paying him for protection, and people on Twitter would also take note of Chris Brown's 2011 song Last, where he raps how he's from Virginia but represents the Pyrus. The media would eventually...
Why is Amazon paying me $60?
We're sipping tea right now on Chris Brown. He's been jailed, y'all, in London, okay? Thank you guys for sipping tea. When you come in and get your teacup filled up, don't forget to hit those likes up and subscribe.
Take note too, like Spin Magazine, who would report in June 2012 how Chris Brown had allegedly been throwing up blood gang signs during his violent brawl with Drake at a club in New York City. Soon, gossip outlets like TMZ would also run articles seemingly shocked about footage of Chris Brown throwing up gang signs in the club. Chris was apparently even caught spray painting Fruits Pyru onto a wall in Hawaii of all places while on vacation. There were rumors that CB's gang affiliations were actually putting him in danger at this point, with TMZ also capturing Breezy getting pressed by some LA Crips while exiting a club in 2013.
Yo, scary ass Chris. Is that bulletproof? Is that bulletproof? I'm a Crip. Hell yeah, I'm bulletproof. Hey, I ain't never seen get in the car that fast. I love you, Chris. You my don't act like that.
Then came 2 incidents of shootings a few years later at events that he was present at, one being a concert in San Jose where 5 people were shot, and another a pre-VMA party, the latter resulting in fellow Notorious industry blood Suge Knight actually getting hit by gunfire, as well as an innocent 19-year-old model. The Bloods around Chris Brown would use his connections to get all the way into his inner circle and business endeavors too. A 2017 clip would circulate showing a large group of menacing-looking Bloods that had apparently accompanied Chris backstage to a professional movie set, with Chris Brown throwing up gang signs and the Bloods eating their way through the catering tray.
Hello. We in here. We in here. Yeah, he count money. He busy right now. Big movies. They got me in already tonight.
St. Louis was popping.
Blood, a whole lot of gangster.
I need some bookies on there.
Hey.
They got the Buckley bit bookies.
We up in here, no? Yeah, that way.
Yeah, Fruit Town, Athens, you know what I'm saying? Avenue Pyro, all that. Yeah.
While Chris Brown wasn't himself from the streets of LA or a Blood set originally, he was moving like he had true permission, throwing up the set with confidence and seemingly being accepted by the gang. His lyrics kept referencing his new set too, like the 2013 song War For You, where Briss Breezy raps how he stays in these streets and throws up the hand signs for Westside and the Pyrus. Chris seemingly was also willing to put money up for the street figures in LA, one example being reports that he donated 1,000 pairs of sneakers to Compton kids. But interestingly, it seemed that the gangs on both sides of the LA streets were looking at Chris's bank account too, as he was notably seen also giving 1,000 pairs of shoes out as part of a donation for Rollin' 60s Crip Big U's Developing Options nonprofit, with a recently resurfaced clip showing accused extortionist Big U doubling Chris Brown's donation from 500 to 1,000 pairs on camera.
Back. If you can go to the club and spend $80,000 on bottles, and you can spend $10,000 to go in the club, but you haven't done nothing to help the neighborhood. You know, this young man just gave out 500 pair of tennis shoes, and he about to give out another 500 pair of tennis shoes.
And then the whispers began that Chris Breezy wasn't just repping a newfound brotherhood in the Blood Gang, but perhaps he was paying for the privilege and was being forced to contribute to the streets for his ongoing safety. Charlemagne the God would claim in a Vlad TV interview that Chris Brown was actually being extorted financially for his blood affiliations.
It makes no sense. Now you just out here getting extorted. You in LA getting extorted. Let's call it what it is. Like, a lot of these guys are just out in LA getting extorted. That's it. You're really paying for protection when you could just pay for protection the legal way. You shouldn't be allowed to wear it. If I was the Bloods, if I was the Crips, if I was the Fruit Town Pyrus or whatever.
Which are Bloods?
Fruit Bloods. If I was them, I'd be upset.
However, conversely, respected Pyru, Wack 100, would also sit down for a Vlad TV interview, claiming that after 10 years of affiliation, Chris Brown at this point was truly a respected Fruit Town Pyru native.
Chris is from Virginia, and it seems like this thing came as an adult after he was already a multimillionaire. Am I right?
Definitely. Chris Brown has been about 10 years of him been standing on, I'm from Fruit Town, Pyru.
Well, he's not from Fruit Town, Pyru.
Oh, he's from Fruit Town, Pyru. Has done the things that he needed to do from what I'm seeing and understanding, you know, to get his respect.
Some people on Reddit would suggest that Chris couldn't possibly be a real Fruittown Piru due to his friendship with fellow blood rapper YG, who represents the Treetop Pirus, a big rival of the set, as the two had collaborated on the song Rodeo in 2020, with many commenting that this collab between two people claiming enemy gangs is proof that Chris isn't really living and dying by these affiliations. The war between the Treetops and Fruittowns is incredibly deadly, as was explained in a Hood War Stories documentary on the topic.
In this episode, I'll be discussing the war between the Treetop Pirus and the Fruittown Pirus. There had been some rift developing between Piru sets in Compton, mostly over women and drugs, but it was quickly squashed. This particular dispute between the Treetop Pirus and the neighborhood Pirus was different. It wasn't resolved, and things began to escalate.
Furthermore, one vlog on Street TV actually claimed to show Fruittown Piru members on their block denying Chris Brown's membership after both him and Soulja Boy claimed to be Bloods.
I don't give a fuck about that Soulja Boy, Chris Brown shit. We don't need y'all, blood. About that. We bracket regardless without no celebrities or none of that, blood. The whole shit is just a publicity stunt to me. You feel me? Like, they just using the good for fame. And this ain't nothing to play with. We got up in jail that had died and shed blood. Man, this not nothing to play with.
Interestingly, the Fruittowns would even demand payment for Chris repping the set.
Tell them to get the Fruittown out of his mouth and pay us. If you're gonna get paid for this Fruittown shit, pay us. Because we the ones that's, we making it known for you niggas, bud, on Piru, man. Pay us, bud. Y'all pay-per-view all that, pay us, bud.
But despite this, TMZ articles would circulate seeming to downplay Chris Brown's gang membership. The article revealed that unnamed leaders of the Fruittowns spoke to TMZ saying that they're actually down with Chris claiming that he's a Blood because he's hired several of them to work for him, and that Chris comes to the hood and hangs out with them, includes them in his music videos, and he donated 1,000 pairs of new shoes to Compton kids. Rap megastar Akon would claim that Chris Brown's gang ties actually essentially stopped him from reaching the heights that he could have hit with his career.
Because Chris got the talent. Wow. He just needed the direction. Imagine if Chris had Mike's team.
Right.
It would be something different.
And that's big.
But Chris is like he got Bloods around him. He got little gangbangers around him.
Right.
He don't have the guidance.
Right. Meanwhile, Chris himself would openly and proudly claim to be a Piru member on his social media, with many in the comments doubting his claims, saying, yeah, he's a Piru as long as that payment keeps coming. And another said, anyone can be a Piru as long as you're paying a kickback, and that only applies to fools with a lot of money. Another said, bro lets a few of them take his money and sleep with his women and acts like he's not from Virginia. However, in 2025, Chris Brown warned his fans not to wear red bandanas to his shows for safety reasons, while still reminding his audience that he is indeed Big Briss Breezy. At the end of the day, whether or not this is extortion is still up for debate. Perhaps Chris Brown has really been put on in Fruittown Piru, or maybe what begun as extortion has flourished into a full-blown blood brotherhood. But while Chris Brown seemingly gained the full acceptance of his gang set, the same can't be said for Gunna.
Every month, this air.
So we are following up on this Saturday, y'all, with everything hot topics. T, Chris Brown. We're just looking into more of his backstory of how he came to be a violent person that goes around assaulting people for absolutely no reason whatsoever, right? Because that is seemingly what they are saying Chris did in the UK, that he went over there and assaulted a music producer simply because he felt like it. He beat him in the head with a bottle, and then he stomped him out while he was laying on the ground unconsciously. So we're sipping tea this morning. It's hot off the press. Chris Brown jailed in the UK. How did he ever get there? The cute little smart, beautiful, dancing little boy from Virginia is now here.
He not in the streets putting in no work.
The only thing about it that bothers me is that they don't know what they really getting into or could be getting into.
I'm a crip. Hell yeah, bulletproof. Yeah, I love you, Chris. You my. Don't act like that.
Rich and start fighting people. I mean, it makes no sense to me.
Chris Brown has been living the dream of fame and success since he was a teenager. He's hailed as one of the most prominent artists in R&B music, even getting credited for evolving the genre.
When did you know, when you were younger, this is really what you wanted to do, man?
I knew ever since I was 2, I always was dancing, performing.
Some folks call him the king of R&B. His singing and dancing skills have drawn comparisons to the legendary Michael Jackson.
The only person, in my opinion, that could have achieved just as great as a legacy as Mike, to me, would have been Chris Brown.
But despite all the fame and accolades, Chris has this strange obsession with gang culture and trying to portray a gang background that he never really had.
Hello. We in here. We in here, nigga. Yeah, he count money. He busy right now. Big movies. They got me in already tonight.
It's a weird twist because unlike many artists who come from that life and try to leave it behind, Chris seems to have been drawn to gangs in a way that doesn't quite fit his background.
They got me in already tonight.
Interestingly, Chris dropped a video for his song Don't Think They Know, which had a powerful message against gang violence. The video was shot in black and white with flashes of red and blue representing the Crips and Bloods, aiming to highlight the brutal realities of gang violence. It seemed like Chris was using his platform to promote peace and unity, but then he did a complete 180 and started hanging out with gang members and flashing gang signs affiliated with the Bloods.
St. Louis was popping. Blood, a whole lot of gangster shit.
This behavior has made a lot of people see him as irresponsible. It's puzzling for many, especially considering Chris grew up in Virginia, far from the gang culture of LA, and decided to embrace these gangs in his mid-20s. This happened even after he worked hard to clean up his image following the infamous Rihanna incident. The whole situation gets even messier when you consider that even the OGs of the Bloods and Crips have called him out several times.
I mean, someone like Chris Brown who has, he got a lot to lose.
I mean, but Chris Brown ain't in it. He just affiliated. He not in the streets putting in no work.
This shows that these hardcore gang members don't respect Chris Brown at all. Sure, he might get some attention from them and they might let him use their signs, but in reality, no true OG respects Chris.
Room, time out, man. You ain't from the hood, none. You ain't came to the hood, none. You ain't did nothing, none. Stop it, be hard. Stop it, man. Stop flexing, nigga. Hey, we really from the hood, though.
He might be bringing in publicity, reputation, and money, but he's treading on thin ice. The gang world is real and dangerous, and a lot of people have lost their lives because of it. If Chris says the wrong thing or finds himself in the wrong neighborhood, he could be in serious trouble.
Or the only thing about it that bothers me is that they don't know what they really getting into, or could be getting into.
So what's up with Chris and his obsession with gang culture? Let's dive deeper into this. Chris Brown was born in 1989 in Tappahannock, Virginia, a place known for its above-average crime rate. Interestingly, Chris wasn't really exposed to gangs and their culture during his early years. In fact, he found success at an age when many might have been drawn into such activities. His big break came when talent scouts happened to visit a gas station owned by his father. Within months, Chris was recording demos in New York and soon signed with Jive Records. Even back then, his talent was undeniable and many saw him as a potential successor to Michael Jackson thanks to his impressive singing and dancing skills. Chris was also deeply into hip-hop culture, but his label had other plans. They persuaded him to steer clear of rapping, wanting to market him strictly as an R&B artist. Not only did he have to abandon rapping, but he also had to adopt a squeaky clean image, which meant letting go of his affinity for hip-hop. Despite this, his self-titled debut album in 2005 was a massive hit, entering the Billboard 200 at number 2 and producing hits like Run It and Gimme That.
What it is, folks.
By 2007, Chris was opening for Beyoncé on tour, making appearances on shows like MTV's My Super Sweet 16, renamed Chris Brown My Super 18 for his episode, and releasing his second album, Exclusive. This album included smash hits like Kiss Kiss and Wall to Wall, showcasing his ability to blend R&B with the auto-tuned pop-leaning hip-hop of the time. His breakout moment, however, came at the 2007 MTV Video Music Awards, where he delivered a show-stopping performance that included a brief interlude of Michael Jackson's Billie Jean. The The performance even featured a cameo from Rihanna, who joined him on stage for her hit Umbrella. Their chemistry was undeniable, though they kept their relationship mostly under wraps. However, this love story took a dark turn a year and a half later. The night before the 2009 Grammy Awards, a brutal argument broke out between Chris and Rihanna in his rented Lamborghini. The fight began when Rihanna discovered a text message from a woman Chris had been involved with. According to the police report, Chris hit Rihanna's head against the car window, punched and choked her, bit her ear, and even threatened to K-word her. Both were set to perform at the Grammys the next day, but understandably canceled. The photo of Rihanna's battered face became unavoidable in the media, and Chris's once pristine public image was shattered overnight.
Fashion star. And then one night, her equally famous boyfriend, Chris Brown, beat her so badly, the whole world was shocked to discover there was a secret life.
After the incident, Chris says he was so distraught that he considered suicide and didn't leave his house for 3 months. At a hearing in March of '09, he expressed deep remorse, saying words cannot begin to express how sorry and saddened I am for what transpired.
I'm really sorry for what went down and what happened.
3 months later, he pled guilty to felony assault, resulting in a plea deal that included 5 years of probation, 1,400 hours of community service, and a domestic abuse program. A report obtained by CNN during his sentencing revealed 2 previous incidents of domestic violence between Chris and Rihanna, one in Europe and another in Barbados. During this difficult period, Rihanna made several appearances at Chris's hearings. She later said, "I felt like he made that mistake because he needed help. Initially, it seemed like Chris was on a swift path to redemption." At his first probation hearing, the judge praised him for his community service and counseling efforts and allowed him to travel overseas for concerts. His subsequent hearings were also positive, and eventually the judge lifted the restraining order preventing him from contacting Rihanna. They even began seeing each other off and on again during this time. But things started getting pretty wild for Chris Brown, with his temper tantrums and angry outbursts becoming a significant part of his public image. In March of 2011, during an appearance on Good Morning America, he lost his cool big time. Host Robin Roberts kept asking him about the Rihanna incident, and Chris wasn't having it. He stormed off to his dressing room, punched a window until it cracked, and then strutted out into the street shirtless.
Staff called security because they heard loud noises coming from Brown's dressing room. A window in Brown's dressing room was smashed, and that caused shattered glass to fall onto the street below in Times Square.
And all this happened when he was supposed to be promoting his album Fame, which he said stood for both Forgiving All My Enemies and Fans Are My Everything. Despite the drama, the album was a hit and even won the 2012 Grammy for Best R&B Album. Just a few months later, in June of 2012, things escalated when Chris and his crew got into a nasty brawl with Drake and his entourage at a New York club. The whole thing reportedly kicked off after Chris sent Drake a bottle of champagne as a peace offering. Drake, who had been romantically linked with Rihanna, supposedly sent back a note that read, "I'm effing the love of your life," which obviously didn't sit well with Chris. The fight left several people injured and the club in chaos.
When I think I caught a bottle coming by, like going this way, and then a whole bunch of bottles coming back to this way.
Fast forward to January 2013, Chris was back in the headlines, this time accused of punching and threatening to shoot singer Frank Ocean at a LA recording studio. Just a month later, Chris totaled his Porsche after being chased by paparazzi. It didn't stop there. He was also accused of punching a woman at a nightclub. Despite these accusations, no charges were filed. The roller coaster continued in October of 2013 when Chris and his bodyguard were accused of assaulting a man in DC after the man photobombed a picture Chris was taking with a fan. Chris allegedly punched the guy in the face and ended up spending the night in jail. Shortly after, he checked into rehab, but his stay was cut short after he reportedly smashed his mom's car window following a therapy session. Chris moved to another rehab facility where he seemed to be doing better after they switched his medication. It was during this time that he was diagnosed with bipolar II disorder, which is characterized by depressive and hypomanic episodes. In March 2014, things took another turn when he was sent to jail for violating his probation after being kicked out of rehab. Chris claimed it was a setup, but he was ordered to serve 131 days in county jail.
Over 230 days, some odd days credit on a 365, and generally the sheriff is releasing on a lot less than that. But it's up to the sheriff, obviously.
To avoid trouble with other inmates, he spent a lot of time in solitary confinement. On June 2nd, 2014, Chris got an early release. He kissed the ground outside the jail and made a beeline for Burger King. Later on, Chris Brown would look back on his time in prison and talk about how much it changed him. He said he was working on being more mature, leaving violence behind, and how therapy had really helped him.
A humbling experience for me to become a man and mature.
Do you believe in therapy? Do you think it works?
Absolutely, I believe in therapy. I see my therapist twice a week. You know, it's amazing.
However, despite his best intentions, his run-ins with the law just kept getting worse. But there was one thing that stood out about Chris: his obsession with gangs. In 2013, Chris found himself in a pretty scary situation at a Hollywood nightclub. A guy who claimed to be a member of the Crips started threatening him. This guy hurled a bunch of expletives at Chris and asked if his Lamborghini was bulletproof, making it clear he was a full-fledged gang member. Chris, knowing the dangers of escalating the situation, chose to keep his cool and not engage. He later told TMZ, "It's LA, brother, you just gotta keep your head down and keep walking." Despite these threats, Chris tried to use his influence for good. In June of that year, he released a video for his song Don't Think They Know, which carried a strong message against gang violence. The video opens with the words, "Every 2 hours in America today, a child dies of a gunshot wound, and unity is what we're afraid of, so fear is insanity, let's love each other." The video, shot in black and white with flashes of red and blue to represent the Crips and Bloods, aimed to highlight the harsh realities of gang violence. Chris explained, quote, "When I did the video, I wanted to do kinda like the Boys in the Hood theme, also bringing an aspect of the side of the world that people never really talk about anymore. Gun violence or stuff that we deal with in our neighborhood or community that we could just stop." This message was powerful and appreciated considering Chris's huge platform and influence. But a few months later, Chris did something that seemed to contradict his anti-violence stance. In August of 2013, while in Hawaii, he spray-painted some graffiti that read Fruits Pyru, a reference to the Fruittown Pyru gang, which is affiliated with the Bloods. This action raised a lot of eyebrows and led to criticism. The following year at the BET Awards, Chris once again appeared to show support for the Bloods. At an after-party, he was seen flashing gang signs. This move sparked even more backlash. People found it puzzling that Chris, who grew up in Virginia far from the gang culture of LA, decided to embrace these gangs in his mid-20s, especially after working hard to clean up his image following the Rihanna incident. In an interview with Vlad TV, rapper and Crips member Trey D expressed his bewilderment over Chris Brown and others joining gangs after achieving success. He remarked, "It has to either be a psychological defect where you don't want to enjoy your life and wealth and, you know, ride around on boats." He continued, "I see it as a peer pressure aspect. Is this what you really want for yourself, or do you feel like this is the only way you'll be secure in certain areas? So are you buying in for protection? That's the only logical conclusion I can come to." Chris Brown's public display of gang signs led many to believe he had joined the Bloods. Normally, flashing gang signs without being a member would be unwise and likely provoke a response. However, a Bloods member clarified that while Chris Brown wasn't officially a member, they didn't mind him using the signs. This gang member provided 4 specific reasons why Chris Brown was permitted to make these gestures. Quote, "He's hired several of them to work for him, giving their Compton community an economic boost. Chris came to the hood and hangs out with them. He shot a music video in the neighborhood and even included some of them in the video, and he donated 1,000 pairs of new shoes to Compton kids." While it's easy to criticize Chris Brown, these actions show he cares about people in poor neighborhoods in LA, which is more than can be said for many other celebrities living there. But does this mean he needs to rep the gang as well? The idea that Chris Brown might be using the Bloods for protection is intriguing. On the surface, it makes some sense, but Charlemagne the God has argued that artists who do this are essentially being extorted. In another Vlad TV interview, he said, "You're really paying for protection when you can just pay for protection in the legal way. Why put yourself in the mix of that?"
It makes no sense. Now you just out here getting extorted. You in LA getting extorted. Let's call it what it is. Like, a lot of these guys are just out in LA getting extorted. That's it.
This raises questions about why Chris Brown is so obsessed with gangs. Interestingly, Chris Brown isn't the only one who seems to have fallen into this pattern. Rapper Bow Wow has faced similar criticism. Born in 1989 and 1987 respectively, Chris Brown and Bow Wow's earliest memories of hip-hop coincide with the golden age of hip-hop and the height of gangsta rap. Vlad pointed out that they grew up on Death Row, Snoop, and the Dogg Pound and have sort of been enamored with that gang culture because of the music. Charlemagne the God sees this as a naive naive viewpoint, saying, quote, "Salute to all the real Bloods and Crips out there who probably had no other choice because it was a thing in their community or family, but these guys who have totally other options, who didn't grow up around that all, you're entertainers. Bow wows to Chris Brown. Stop it."
Well, if I was them, I'd be upset. I'd be like, yo, y'all representing us wrong. Stop it. Chris Brown, stop doing that shit on social media. Bow Wow, stop that shit. Stop misrepresenting us.
In September 2014, Chris Brown sat down with Sway for an interview where the topic of potential gang affiliations came up. Chris Brown brushed it off, saying that it's just part of the territory when you're living in LA and involved in the hip-hop industry. He explained, when you're in LA and you're around people, you meet everybody. You meet Crips, you meet Bloods, especially in this industry that I'm in. I'm not in the country world, I'm not in the all-the-way pop world. When you're in hip-hop, all of that meshes. Fast forward 2 years to 2016 and Chris was back in the spotlight for a different reason. This time it was for a bizarre Instagram rant where he called out people for pretending to be part of gangs. A bit ironic considering he had been accused of the same thing. In his now deleted post, he vented, "So many fake gang members these days, they get in the industry and the next thing you know they got a blue rag or a red rag. Ain't been through nothing, out of town dudes kill me with this stuff. You're not a Blood or a Crip just because you know a dude from that hood and you bought a blue or red rag from the dollar store. Stop faking the funk, y'all not bout that. Blue Bloods and Red Crips is what I'ma call you imposters." With all this drama and controversy, it's easy to forget that Chris Brown has had an incredibly successful music career. He's sold over 140 million records worldwide, making him one of the world's best-selling music artists. He has a dedicated fan base and is one of the highest-grossing African-American touring artists of all time. Brown holds the record for the most Billboard Hot 100 entries of any male singer in history, the most top 40 hits of any R&B singer in history, the most RIAA gold-certified singles of any male singer in history, and the most RIAA multi-platinum singles of any male singer in history. In 2019, Billboard named him the third most successful artist of the 2010s decade in R&B and hip-hop music, right behind Drake and Rihanna. He's won 202 awards from 513 nominations and even pursued an acting career, appearing in films like Stomp the Yard, This Christmas, Takers, Think Like a Man, and Battle of the Year. Brown's dancing abilities and stage presence are also widely praised. People often compare his dancing skills to Michael Jackson's. Brown himself said he learned to dance by copying Jackson's moves as a kid and then developed his own unique style as he grew up. He also looked up to MC Hammer for inspiration. Most of his music videos are packed with complex choreographies. For example, the video for Turn Up the Music has a cool futuristic vibe, while Fine China pays homage to Jackson's style. In Zero, he mixes it up with different dance styles, including popping and his signature spin move. Party shows off his impressive footwork, and Heat features silky smooth choreography that really highlights his unmatched dancing talent. Some of Chris Brown's most memorable live performances include his recreation of Michael Jackson's Thriller at the 2006 World Music Awards, and his epic medley at the 2011 MTV Video Music Awards, where he even flew during the performance. In 2015, he freestyled to Future's March Madness at Festival in The Hague, which included an impressive front flip that wowed the crowd. Besides his music and dance, Chris is also a talented graffiti artist. His visual artwork is described as manga-inspired and abstract. Brown has been painting since he was a kid, starting with school walls. He loves how drawing and painting let him express himself in unique ways, sharing his own perspective with the world. Under the pseudonym Confused, Chris has teamed up with street artist Kai to create pieces for the Miami Basil. He's painted buildings for radio stations like Hot 97, and in 2015 worked on the walls of the Grammy Museum, blending spray paint drawings with images of legends like James Brown, Prince, and Michael Jackson alongside himself. Chris's graffiti can be found in cities around the world, including Los Angeles, London, and Amsterdam. In a cool project with Spotify's Rap Caviar, Chris combined his painting and dancing skills to create the cover art for his album Heartbreak on a Full Moon, dancing around the canvas as he painted. In 2020, he painted a mural in memory of Kobe Bryant, which features Kobe's face, a mamba, and a few action shots of Kobe dribbling and dunking a basketball. But despite all these accomplishments, Chris Brown has not quite hit the astronomical heights that many envisioned for him when he burst onto the scene at just 15 years old. He has not become the next Michael Jackson, and none of his albums have reached the iconic status of Thriller or Off the Wall. There's no shame in that. Michael Jackson set an almost impossibly high bar, but fellow artist Akon believes that Chris Brown had the potential to reach those heights. In a 2022 interview, Akon said, quote, "In this day and age, the only person in my opinion that could have achieved just as great of a legacy as Michael Jackson would have been Chris Brown. I just believe that Chris Brown wasn't surrounded by the circle of creative people that Mike was surrounded by. Because Chris got the talent, he just needed the direction."
In this day and age, the only person, in my opinion, that could have achieved just as great as a legacy as Mike, to me, would have been Chris Brown.
Akon went on to imagine what Chris Brown's career could have looked like if he had Michael Jackson's team behind him. So imagine if Chris had Mike's team. Just imagine that. But Chris, he got bloods around him. He got little gangbangers around him. He don't have the guidance. He's smart, but he's smart in what this generation attracts.
Imagine if Chris had Mike's team.
Right.
Just imagine that. It would be something different.
And that's big.
But Chris is like he got bloods around him. He got little gangbangers around him.
Even diehard Chris Brown fans might agree that he has not fully realized his potential. Some might argue that the Rihanna incident played a role in this, and there's definitely a case to be made that it helped propel her career, while his own actions held his back. But it's also true that it's hard to become the next Michael Jackson when you're heavily gang affiliated and throwing up gang signs.
Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and question I get all the time is, how do I make my personal assets invisible? Well, first off, can you?
All right, y'all, as we've heard it, we've got several different understandings about is Chris Brown an actual gang member of the Bloods, Fruittown Pyrus, or is he just an affiliate? One thing is definitely for sure, he wasn't brought into the gang life. There wasn't anything that introduced Chris Brown into the gang life but himself. Okay, so he's held in London currently on no bond for beating a man unconscious with a tequila bottle and his feet and fists. Okay, Chris Brown is facing very serious charges stemming from this. Right now, we're going to look up exactly what convictions does Chris Brown already have? Okay. So Chris Brown has faced multiple legal challenges throughout his career. Notably, he's pleaded guilty to assaulting his then girlfriend Rihanna in 2009, resulting in 5 years of probation, community service, and a mandatory domestic violence. Okay. Let's see. So we know about that one. We know about the thing in 2014.
making criminal threats. He pled guilty, avoiding jail time. Brown, once a rising star in the world of R&B, saw his fame clouded by a series of criminal allegations, most notably the shocking 2009 assault on his then-girlfriend, Rihanna. This is the story of Chris Brown's meteoric rise to fame and the criminal charges that threatened to derail his career. The rise of an R&B sensation. In 2005, Chris Brown burst onto the music scene with his debut single, Run It, quickly becoming a household name. His smooth vocals, impressive dance moves, and charm made him the new face of R&B. By 2007, he had a string of hits, millions of fans, and the promise of a long-lasting career. However, this seemingly perfect rise was cut short by his personal life, a series of violent incidents that would forever tarnish his public image. The 2009 assault on Rihanna. In February 2009, Brown was involved in a violent altercation with Rihanna. The graphic details of the assault, including photos of Rihanna's injuries, shocked the world. Brown was charged with felony assault and making criminal threats. He pled guilty, avoiding jail time but receiving 5 years of probation, community service, and mandatory domestic violence counseling. This incident changed everything. Brown's music was pulled from radio stations, endorsements disappeared, and his reputation was severely damaged. The world no longer saw him as a talented young star, but as someone capable of extreme violence. Public backlash and career fallout. The aftermath of the assault brought significant consequences. Fans were divided. Some continued to support him, while others were outraged. Brown made several public apologies, but the damage was done. His image was shattered, and the entertainment industry struggled to embrace him again. Brown's career was never the same. Although he continued to release successful albums, each project was overshadowed by his violent past. Public opinion remained polarized, with some believing in his attempts to rehabilitate, while others could not overlook the severity of his crime. Legal troubles continue. Unfortunately, the assault on Rihanna wasn't an isolated incident. Brown's violent behavior persisted, leading to several additional legal problems. In 2013, he was arrested for felony assault in Washington, D.C., after getting involved in a brawl. This arrest violated his probation from the Rihanna case, resulting in him spending several months in jail. In 2014, Brown was thrown out of a rehab facility for violating its rules, and the court ordered him to serve time in jail. The singer's legal battles were becoming as well known as his music, with frequent headlines detailing his violent outbursts. The Karrueche-Tran drama Brown's troubled relationships continued to make headlines. His ex-girlfriend, model Karrueche-Tran, filed a restraining order against him in 2017, alleging physical abuse and violent threats. Tran claimed that Brown had physically assaulted her during their relationship and had threatened her life after they broke up. These allegations painted a disturbing picture of Brown's pattern of abusive behavior. It was becoming clear that the Rihanna assault was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of violent actions against women. More scandals and assault accusations. Brown's legal issues continued into the late 2000s and 10s. In 2019, he was accused of rape by a woman in Paris, though the charges were eventually dropped. Still, the accusations added to the already long list of scandals that plagued his career. Despite Brown denying the rape claims, the court of public opinion remained skeptical. Each new allegation damaged Brown's career further. His talent was undeniable, but his violent behavior and repeated criminal accusations overshadowed his music, making it difficult for him to regain the respect and success he once enjoyed. Chris Brown's complex legacy. Despite these controversies, Chris Brown continues to release successful music and perform worldwide. His fan base, while smaller than at his peak, remains loyal. However, his criminal record will always haunt him, casting a shadow over his achievements. Brown's legacy is complex. He is undeniably talented, with a catalog of hit songs and memorable performances. But his violent past, particularly the assault on Rihanna and his continued legal problems, have stained his image, making it difficult for many to separate the artist from the man. A cautionary tale. Chris Brown's career is a stark reminder of how quickly fame can turn into infamy. His ongoing legal troubles serve as a cautionary tale about the consequences of unchecked behavior and how even the most beloved celebrities can fall from grace.
So I say, T-Sippers, we bring that up to 2023. Chris Brown is now in jail in the United Kingdom for his ass assaulting somebody, a music producer, with a
I got to work with Chris Brown.
With the bottle, and then stomping him out unconsciously, right? So what are we seeing here? We're seeing a continued pattern of Chris Brown's violence getting worse and worse and less control. So what do you guys think will be, his ultimate fate right now, being that he's incarcerated in United Kingdom, he's out of the United States. Here's where he became famous. He is famous all around the world. However, he may be treated differently in the United Kingdom. We don't know. However, the laws may be different. They may be more lax. They may be more harsh. We don't know. We will be following Sipping Tea on Chris Brown. He's always been hot. He's hot right now for all the wrong reasons. But yeah, we will be continuing to sip tea from Chris Brown. Moving on to our next hot tea topic, okay? Our next hot tea topic is somebody that I don't necessarily follow that closely. However, they are somebody that has been a hot tea topic very much over the past course of the last year. Also, she reigned on the scene with Beyonce, right? Beyonce brought Hailey Bailey and her sister Kaylee on the scene. They're twins, I think. And as like a singing artist duo group, really didn't quite take off like Destiny's Child. However, still pretty, good group, and making waves. And Hailey Bailey has gone on by herself to star in the Little Mermaid movie, right? Well, over the last year and a half to 2 years, Hailey Bailey had a baby with a boy named DDG. Okay. And DDG is not popular for the same reasons Hailey is. Hailey is pretty popular for being like the girl next door kind of girl. Very homey girl, like not the like sexy red type girls, right? However, DDG seems to be more of a street thug kind of guy, more rough around the edges than Hailey Bailey. Well, they have been in some controversial issues over dating, parenting, things like that, where they were back and forth, on and off. Well, lately they're in the news right now because I believe I'm seeing DDG beat up Hailey Bailey in some type of a fight that they had with each other, and it became a domestic violence situation. So we're going to sip some hot tea from that topic. Let's get right into finding some tea on this because I'm just updating myself. I've heard people talk about it, but I'm not quite familiar with it. But we're going to listen to some tea talk on it, okay? So I guess Hailey Bailey granted a restraining order against DDG after alleged attack. The tea room. Okay, the tea room has dropped some tea. Okay, we're going to sip some tea from the tea room.
They broke up back in October, and now, according to TMZ, Halle Bailey claims DDG attacked her multiple times and she got a restraining order. Now, this is an exclusive from TMZ, but as you can see here, the pictures that were obtained, she has bruises and a chipped tooth from where DDG allegedly threw her head into a steering wheel. So now, according to TMZ, Halle filed a police report. Now she wants court-ordered protection from the father of her child. In the docs obtained by TMZ, she claims things got physical in January. They broke up back in October, and Halle says DDG came over to pick up their son Halo, and she tried to start a convo with the rapper about child visitation schedule. As she was buckling Halo into the car seat, she claims DDG grew agitated and repeatedly said, "Get out of my car, B-word." Halle says the baby was crying and she got nervous about DDG leaving him in such an agitated state. That's when they allegedly started wrestling, with DDG pulling her hair, slamming her face on his steering wheel, and chipping her tooth. Halle says she was in pain and crying, and although that stopped the fighting, she was still worried about Halo, so she remained in the car for the ride over to DDG's house, where she told his family what happened. Once they told her they'll take care of the baby, she left hysterical with bruises on her arms to go along with her chipped tooth. She attached photos of the alleged injuries in her request for a restraining order. She also alleges DDG creeped her out in March when he showed up at her house, entered the house without permission, went up to her bedroom and texted a pic of Halle's empty bed to her, along with the text, "Now I know what you've been on." Halle says she interpreted the text as DDG accusing her of sleeping with other people. 4 days later, she claims he really exploded when he came back to her house. Halle told him she and the baby were sick and she didn't want Halo to leave home, and she claims that's when he got verbally abusive, smashing her Ring camera, and ran away with Halle's phone. As he drove off, she claims DDG threw the phone out his window and yelled to her, "Go get it, B." The incident prompted Halle to go.
Okay, let me pause. I want to say thank you to one of my #1 tea sippers. Thank you so much for that Cash App. Thank you for the blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Continue to support the show by sending me a Cash App at Tanisha Talks Teas for blessings. Thank you so much.
File a police report and says she also has Ring footage to back up her side of the story. It is also around the time DDG claimed on Twitter he'd been fighting to see Halo for months. For Halle, though, the final straw came just last weekend when she says she was vacationing with Halo and her sister in St. Lucia. She says DDG texted her links to social media posts claiming she was on an island with singer Brent Faiyaz. Halle replied, "Not with any man out here. I wouldn't do that. I have Halo. Please let me enjoy my Mother's Day in peace. I hope you are okay and feel better soon." The judge granted Halle a domestic violence restraining order requiring DDG to stay 100 yards away and gave her permission to take nearly 18-month-old Halo to Italy, where she'll be filming a movie for 2 months. DDG has to stop posting or streaming about her of her child. Halle claims her ex has been whipping his fans into a frenzy by trashing her when he live streams. So TMZ reached out to DDG's camp and they haven't heard anything back yet. So I'm pretty sure DDG is aware that this story would be dropping. But as you heard there in those documents, it doesn't appear that he's able to speak on it anymore, or at least not speak on Halle and the baby. Now, according to those documents, she did file a police report. Not sure if any charges are going to be taken out on DDG, but that temporary restraining order was granted. So Halle is claiming the last straw came this Mother's Day weekend when she was out in St. Lucia with her sister. Now, as you can see here, these messages obtained from TMZ shows DDG texting her. You can see these links that he texted her to these blog pages. He says this foul bet. Says, you think you hurted my feelings when you really just ruining your own image. This is a terrible look. Make you look disgusting and evil. Enjoy your vacation. Happy Mother's Day. But just have the same energy when it's my turn to have him. I'll be on the same itch.
Why are they saying GGTMZ? Let's see. Why are they saying GGTMZ? All right, I'm looking at her story now. Oh, fuck. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. Don't even.
That can't even be real.
Fuck all that, bro. Fuck all that.
But that can't even be real.
But,
that's the thing.
But don't even. But you remember we talked about last night? Fuck all that. Let me say something. It's not.
No, I'm saying, but I don't know where that even came from.
Yo, stop these fake allegations. This is a father. This is a real person. It's a good human being.
Even, but I don't.
But hey, bro, we on stream, bro.
Come on, like I gotta be.
Just don't do it, bro.
Okay, apparently they cut that off early. So we're finding out just more of what all happened with DDG. Okay. And Haley Bailey, the girl part of the Bailey sisters that came out, Haley and Chloe, with Beyonce. Haley starred in the Little Mermaid movie, right? So she immediately started to become like America's Little Sweetheart from being a black girl in the Little Mermaid movie. And so this is apparently DDG
entered a restraining order against her ex-boyfriend, DDG.
We're going to thank Empire again, the king of pop culture, for giving us a little tea to sip. Thank you, Empire.
Welcome back to the Kempire Channel, your #1 source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So, of course, in our coverage of the Diddy trial, there are a lot of other stories going on in pop culture, and we're here to keep you updated. This story, though, actually was a little shocking because now we're covering not only the Diddy of it all, we're covering a young man involved in a DV situation. Let's get into this because I think this is important for us as a community to have a conversation. I'm going to report to you the details and I'm going to share my thoughts on this issue. So first off, in regards to the restraining order, I'm also going to update you what DDG is now saying when it comes to this restraining order. Also, his mother is now taking to social media to talk about this. All right. Let me just update you in regards to what the BBC has written. They said actress and singer Halle Bailey has been granted a restraining order against rapper and YouTube star DDG, her former boyfriend and the father of their 1-year-old son. The Little Mermaid star alleges that he was repeatedly violent with her and made her fear for herself and their child. On Tuesday, a Los Angeles judge ordered DDG, whose full name is Darrell Dwayne Granberry Jr., to stay away from Bailey and their son until a hearing on June 6. Bailey, who's 25 years old, alleged that there had been, quote, multiple acts of physical violence from Granberry since their split in October. She's talking about since their split, there's been instances of violence. The BBC News has asked representatives for Granberry for comment in a document requesting the order reported by the Associated Press, Bailey said, throughout our relationship, Daryl has been and continues to be physically, verbally, emotionally, and financially abusive towards me. The financial abusive part was interesting to me. I'm wondering if she's saying he's supposed to be paying certain things when it comes to their son and he's not, or has he gained access to her money and he's stealing from her? Did he take money from her? So a variety of things when we're talking about financial abuse. This is another area that a lot of people do not discuss when it comes to different types of domestic abuse. So in the order, she says, I'm seeking orders to protect myself and our son Halo from his ongoing abuse. Ongoing abuse. Bailey and Granberry, 27, were in a relationship from 2022 until last year. The BBC says in the documents, the actress claims that, quote, things got physical between us after Granberry repeatedly insulted her as she strapped the baby into a seat in his car in January. In a quote, we fought each other wrestling and tussling, she said. At one point, Daryl was pulling my hair. He then slammed my face on the steering wheel, causing my tooth to get chipped. I then stopped fighting back as I was in a lot of pain. Bailey included photos of her tooth. We won't be including the photos here. I'm sure by now you've probably seen them all over social media, but we will not be including them here. I don't even know why we even gained access to those things, but okay. Bailey included photos of her tooth and bruises on her arm in her filing, which have since been published by some U.S. media outlets. 2 months after the alleged altercation, Bailey alleges that Granberry entered her house when she wasn't home and texted her a photo of her bed, along with threatening messages suggesting that she was having sex with other men. And if you've been following our Diddy situation, and I'm not saying that this is in the likes of Diddy, but this is where it starts. Remember, DDG is 27 years old. This is where this type of starts. And I told you, I've seen a documentary. It was on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it, where it talked about all of these different domestic violence situations that could have been prevented if the laws in our country did better in protecting victims. So they said that 2 months after the alleged altercation, Bailey alleges that Granberry entered her house when she wasn't home and texted her photos of her bed along with threatening messages suggesting that she was having sex with other men. A few days later, she claimed that Granberry berated her when she did not want to send their unwell baby on a visit with him. You may recall this was playing out on social media. Then smashed the Ring doorbell camera on her porch when he realized it was recording their confrontation. Does he realize that all of that stuff is stored in the cloud? So you could destroy it now, but we still have that footage. They continue. They said she further alleged that when she called a relative for help, he took her phone and slammed her car door as she was holding the baby. Bailey filed a police report over the incident. As a part of the restraining order, Granberry was also instructed not to possess any weapons. That's normal. We've covered situations like that. The last time we talked about this, we were talking about Darius and Keke Palmer, who recently put out a song talking about their relationship, but they recently spent Mother's Day together as well. She says, he claims I am withholding our son and I am with other men. As a result, I then received threats and hate on social media, she said in documents. Bailey shot to fame as a part of the Chloe and Halle pop duo with her sister and later released a music video as a solo artist. She has been nominated for 5 Grammy Awards. As an actress, she appeared on the sitcom Grownish from 2018 to 2022. Her biggest role to date, however, was playing the titular character in Disney's 2023 live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. DDG rose to fame when he started dating Halle.
If you have a 700 plus credit score, you qualify for Chase's new program where you could access up to $150,000 of capital for free at 0% interest rate.
Okay, that's not what they said. Rose to fame in the mid-2010s by posting videos on YouTube and signed a record deal in 2018. He has released 4 studio albums, just to give you a perspective on who each individual is. On social media, DDG is reacting, and so is his mother. So I'll read his reaction first. Shout out to our friends over at the Shade Room. DDG posted on social media. First of all, he also posted video of him getting the restraining order or finding out about the restraining order. This is a new era where everything is social media driven. He posts on his Twitter, says, "I'm chilling, by the way. I have no worries." And then he does a wink eye emoji. "Streaming later on, no days off. No worries." Because the system in this country continues to allow this type of abuse to continue and almost be supported. But here's what I implore people to do. I'm not telling you to do it with him. This is how you can really hurt these types of individuals. Stop supporting them. Stop buying their music. Stop watching their videos. Stop defending them on social media. I'm already seeing other streamers defending and saying, well, Halle did this and that. She's literally laying the groundwork for physical, mental, emotional, and financial abuse. So I also saw people on social media responding to the mother talking about this. So she posted his mother, Tanya, made DDG. That's her username. And apparently she has other kids. What? Tanya made DDG. That's her username. She posts in her Instagram story, "I don't usually comment or say anything on this internet, even with all the negativity, the lies, and the hatred towards mine. However, these accusations have made me realize that I have been quiet too long." Here's the thing. A few people in the comment section of this post said, and behind every abuser, there is a mother that is making excuses for that behavior. Some people have said the similar things about Janice Combs. This is what they're saying in the comment section. She also posted a meme with Kermit the Frog. "Hello, Jesus, take the wheel." Again, these stories, I'm going to have to bring an expert on here so people can understand, so we can educate our community on cycles of abuse, how to prevent it, how to see it in your own relationships, and how we need to stop blaming victims, and also just stop accusing people or dogging people out on social media when you don't know all the facts. This woman, Halle, is saying he physically assaulted her in front of their child. He did that to her, and he's doing that in front of the child. Guys, as always, I want to know your reaction to this update that a restraining order has been granted for Halle Bailey against her baby's father and ex-boyfriend, DDG. And not only that, DDG and his mom are responding. Let's continue this conversation in the comment section. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.
Here we go now.
Okay, that was more insight into what's been going on, right? With Halle and DDG. So apparently DDG has been making comments or whatever about the restraining order. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on behind the scenes. Like, she has been laying out the groundwork, you know what I'm saying, about him and how he treats her, things like that. People have been online, saying, oh, she needs to allow him this, that, and the third. And when she did, this is what he did. Okay. So a lot of y'all really just need to sit back, let things unfold how they naturally do, because people are going to show their true colors regardless of whatever you say. Okay.
Uploaded several videos about all the tea, so we're gonna get all the tea from her. So this first vid is titled "Halle Bailey Accuses DDG of DV and Files a Restraint." Multiple text messages, him like popping up at
come on. I don't know what's going on. The internet today, it looks like it's gonna rain. So my internet's acting goofy.
Her house, taking pictures of her bed, and like, yeah, I see what you've been doing. Just weird shit. He's a weirdo. He calls her out her name. She said that he was like, oh, get up out of here, bitch, da da da. Like, she put all of that in the restraining order with multiple receipts, her tooth being chipped. So it's not like this girl is just making this up just for nothing.
Everybody's been all in Halle Berry's business about, oh, she needs to stop, you know, father's rights and all of these things like that. She doesn't want DDG anymore because she's rich and famous, and she just, you know, basically used him for his sperm, is what they were saying from my understanding. Like I said, I don't necessarily so much follow DDG and Halle Bailey, because I'm a little bit older than they are. However, I'm familiar with the Mermaid movie. My children watched it. It was a great movie. She did a phenomenal job in the movie playing the Little Mermaid. And so, you know, I knew that Beyonce brought her on the scene. I was under the understanding that she was trying to make a relationship work out of being with DDG, taking him around with her, red carpet events. I believe he lived in her home with her that she purchased off of her earnings from becoming a celebrity. So let's listen to a reaction video from another vlogger that gives a deeper rendition into the understanding of what's going on with DDG and Halle. Please continue to fill my teacup up with blessings. The Cash App is on the screen. Drop the teacups in the chat. Remember to like and subscribe.
Just for fun, for shits and giggles. I know, you know, that's some weirdos' first go-to is, what if she lying? We don't know if she's telling the truth. She has multiple receipts to prove that this is actually taking place. And she does not strike me as the type of person to just want to fabricate this whole thing just because. Just nothing else to do. I have a child with this person, but I just woke up today and I feel like ruining their reputation. No, that doesn't make any sense. So I do believe her, and he's trash as hell. But let's hear what Impressive has to say, and I'll chime in more about it. Let's watch.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Impressive channel. Y'all, this story is quite sad. Look at what happened to our poor Little Mermaid. Halle Bailey claims that her baby daddy, DDG, put his hands on her and she had to file a restraining order against him, y'all. This is crazy. Now, I knew Halle and DDG had their issues. They broke up back in October of last year. And DDG blasted Halle for keeping him from seeing his son Halo. Now, the problem is DDG wanted to pop up and show up to her house and pick up his son whenever, but it doesn't work that way.
And Impressive is probably saying this because she looked over the restraining order as well, because that's something that Halle was saying in the restraining order, that, you know, he would just pop up whenever he wanted. She wanted to put him on a schedule. Like, okay, well, let's figure out when you're gonna pick him up and what day, because I have a life too, I have shit to do, so, you know, let's coordinate. And he refused. He's like, no, like basically whenever he wanted to, whenever it was convenient for him and whenever he had time. And when she wouldn't oblige, he would get upset and angry, and apparently that's when the DV would take place.
They have to have a court-ordered visitation schedule in place. I mean, that will make the whole thing run smoother for them, because it's clear that they want to be in their son's life, but they can't get along, so they need some mediation. But Halle has had enough with DDG. She first detailed an incident that happened back in January where he attacked her. She said DDG came over to pick up their son Halo, and she tried to start a conversation about a child visitation schedule. And she says that as she was buckling Halo into the car seat, she claims that DDG grew agitated and he told her, "Get up out my car, B." Yep. He kept saying it repeatedly. Halle then said the baby was crying and she got nervous about leaving Halo with DDG in such an agitated state. And then they started wrestling. She says DDG pulled her hair and slammed her face on the steering wheel and chipped her tooth. Halle said that she was in pain and she was crying, but she still remained in the car for the ride over to DDG's house, and she told his family what happened. And after she left Halo with DDG's family, she was crying. She was hysterical.
This really big deal is Good Friday through Sunday. Visit JCPenney for buy 2, get 2 free.
ChatGPT.
Okay, we really want to get to the tea of the tea, right? Thanks for the review. Hold on.
A girl to like love on me no type of way. Like, I really don't care. Like, the only thing different, and not this might, people might spin this to make it weird or whatever, but like the only thing different between love from a girl and like your kid is just intimacy. That's the only difference. Oh my God. I feel like.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black But 91. Listen, I got, you know what it is? That is nuts behavior. Nuts behavior. Right? And it's not becoming of somebody who's meant to be a husband, a future husband, somebody's going to be who's currently a father. That is not how you behave. And obviously DDG. Now I want to say this first and foremost. I've already said this about DDG. I don't like the way he moves. I've said this from years ago. The way he moves, he does not cover his partner. Somebody who doesn't cover their partner is always a dangerous person. Right? Nobody's saying you have to let everything go. But what we're saying is if you're always consistently exposing your partner to your fans and letting them do what they do to her, you're sicking them on your fans, or fans on your girl or your ex-girl, whatever it is. That is nuts behavior. Nuts behavior. Right? And it's not becoming of somebody who's meant to be a husband, a future husband, somebody's going to be who's currently a father. That is not how you behave. And it does look like now at this point, you just be stunting. If you're going to show that you have good intentions towards people, right, there's a way that you have to move and behave. I don't think DDG does that. Now, if the man them can scream from left to right, up and down, from here to King Kong, okay, and King Kong don't even exist. But if we're going to be honest about the way that a man moves, if the man was moving like this and is your brother, I'm sorry, it was your sister, Hallie was your sister, you'd be cussing DDG out all the way, because some of the behaviors have been unbecoming and how do I say this, let me not start cussing blood. But you know what I mean? Like it's not appropriate to move in that way when we are talking about relationships.
Okay, I want to pause it and just give a shout out. I am very, very happy that I came across this commentator. I love the London accent. I just love the London accent. I think it is so becoming. It just sounds so like it's like music to my ears for some reason to hear Londoners speak. So, sip this tea. He's dropping tea on the actual restraining order. What Haley Bailey has, put in this restraining order and depicted DDG wanting to give the judge a more clearer cut understanding of exactly what she's dealing with her kid's dad, DDG.
That are mature and that relationships are actually healthy. I don't think DDG moves in a very healthy way. Okay, not the way that he's dealt with Hallie in any essence. She's not a perfect person. She's not somebody who can't do no wrong. But when you are always consistently coming to my damn internet every single time talking about what's happening, it tells me all I need to know. You are the problem, because you're always coming to the internet to do something crazy, right? So let's read through the document. We got it here, right? So we got a little declaration of Hallie Bailey, and I hope I'm saying her name wrong because I was saying her name wrong all the time. And this in the document is what she put in to provide points for her case, right? So let's read it quickly. It's a lot of pages, like 20 pages, but let's read it. Hallie Bailey declares, I am the petitioner in this case. I have personal knowledge of the facts I state below, and if I were to be called as a witness, I could competently testify to what I've written in this declaration. Let's speed that part up because you don't need to, right? Okay. I submit this declaration in support of my request for domestic violence restraining order. Daryl Dwayne Granberry Jr. What a name. And I were involved in a romantic relationship for about 2 years, beginning in 2020, ended in 2024. Our son, Halo, was born in 2022, 2023. Throughout our relationship and continued to date, Daryl has been and continues to be physically verbally and emotionally and financially abusive towards me. I don't know how the financial ones that's in, but we'll see. I am seeking orders to protect myself and our son for Halo from ongoing abuse. Daryl is a professional YouTube and Twitch blogger and rapper. Whenever he wishes to cause upset, he starts bad mouthing me to several millions of his fans, which he has done on numerous of times. It is absolutely horrific to see. As a man myself, I'm like, you are moving like I don't even say like you're moving like a gal. You're moving like a B mode. And I'm choosing my words very carefully. But when I see them do that kind of thing, you're setting a whole crowd on your girl blood, your ex-girl, the mother of your kids' blood. If your mother of your kids is not healthy, neither is your child, bro. It doesn't make sense to do this. You know what I mean? You can disagree. You have different points of view. You may not even like her, but the way that you consistently talk about her in the public eye, trying to get us on side to try and attack her, is crazy work.
As I was speaking, I was letting him speak, so I'm going to pause him and I'm going to spill this tea on y'all, okay? It's crazy how men are seemingly right now in our day and age trying to put women so below on the food chain that we're essentially no more existing, right? I've heard men, red pill men, speak and say things like they're doing experiments on rats so that rats can carry the genes and the uterus, male rats, to produce a baby rat, right? And he spoke to this sentiment of, male rat having a baby because he's saying that they're starting in rats and they're looking to start experimenting on the men. Now, I'm going to let all men know right now, women don't care if you can have babies. We don't care. We don't care how you start to experiment on yourselves, carrying a baby and having a baby inside of your body. We do not care. I'm going to speak for, I believe, the majority of women. Some women may get out here in small groups and say, well, why? But the majority of women are not gonna care about that. Why? We know what it really feels to the entirety of the totality of carrying and delivering a baby feels like. So if y'all want to join us on that quest for population, then please be our guest in that. A lot of us will hand you over our uterus so that you can push a baby out. But we're gonna go to the very bare bones of the understanding of the male anatomy for having a child. We know that the male has an autonomy, right? That's an Audi. I'm speaking on YouTube, so I'm not going to go all into the scientific of it, right? Because I don't want to get my video demonetized, okay? I'm very, very close to getting monetized. So thank you guys so very much. Y'all, men have an Audi, okay? The only Audi any you have is the other anal cavity of your body. So you only anatomically have one other orifice that you can push a child out of, and that would be your anal cavity. If you want to pursue that in any aspect and area of y'all's lives, that is y'all's complete decision. Women are not going to feel any ways about it at all. The majority of us are not going to care. Okay? So, however y'all feel that that's what y'all want to do, be our guests. We're not going to give a damn. Okay? However y'all feel like y'all are going to cut women completely out of the equation and start having babies with each other as a male species dominant only, having babies. I personally don't ever see it in my lifetime or any lifetime thereafter. But I guess men are trying to experiment it. I hope I live in this lifetime to see it happen. And I guarantee you I'm going to see the asshole of a man explode on TV. Let's carry on. We are getting the Londoner review of his experience of reading the Haley Bailey Haley Bailey restraining order against DDG that she recently submitted, I believe like May 15th here, a couple days ago.
Shows me where somebody's heart is.
You've probably heard about
Okay, so he went to commercial. He's paying some bills. So are we. Thank you, tea sippers. Thank you. Remember when you come in and fill your teacup up? When you come in and fill your teacup up, please remember to like and subscribe.
Paul's upset. He starts bad-mouthing to me to several millions of fans. He claims I'm withholding our son and that I'm with other men, which we're going to see the evidence for in the docket. As a result, I then receive threats and hate on social media. He tries to set up drama for his fans. He goes live ranting about me and alleges that I'm keeping Halo from him. This is false. I have requested a set schedule, which he refuses. Okay, so he's refusing the set schedule. That's important. I'm also a public figure, and I'm subject to public and scrutiny and hate. As of recently this morning, May 13, 2025, Daryl was given an interview in Miami on TikTok talking about how our son flipping the script, claiming he is getting hated on by his fans. To be clear, I do not go on social media discussing our relationship or any of our issues related to our son. Only he does that, which is very important again. Because why is DDG every single time going onto an internet trying to run a smear campaign? Better, he's a politician. He's a politician in the social media game. Because why is he always rallying us up to try and get behind him to be able to come and jump on the neck of his girl? You need to have conflict resolution skills, my boy. You need to go and do some research, conflict resolution skills, learn how to talk to people, learn how to solve issues, and not allow your emotions to overspill. We need emotional regulation. I'm not seeing that from DDG right now, right? Every single time there's a problem, you on the internet scrying about this issue. If Halo was an issue of you not being able to see him, go to the court and put it in legals. But you don't want to do that because you want to be able to move however you want to move. It's about control. It's not about you actually caring about Halo at this point, from what I can see. But let's go on. I do not go on social media discussing our relationship or any other issues related to our son. Only he does that. He's the one who creates a frenzy with his and the fan bases, and he's now going online to continue talking about it, furthering the frenzy. This is not child-centered. I've asked him to stop this behavior. He continues. He gets paid for hits, and this creates hits for him. Our relationship ended in 2024 because of Daryl's temper and a lack of respect towards me. Oh my gosh. Let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. He said our relationship ended in 2024 because Daryl's temper and a lack of respect towards me. There have been numerous incidents of physical. Brother, I don't want to hear nothing because physical, even before Halo was born. Stop right there. Let's stop right there. Let it sink in. Because that's nuts. Right? That's nuts. That's what happens when you are emotionally unregulated. And people who do this kind of stuff struggle to actually fully express themselves verbally. That's why they always turn physical. And it's a problem within themselves because they don't see themselves as valuable. And so they have to try and control people as a piece of value, as to attain value for themselves. People who are physically abusive to their partners, right? The Bible says that we should love our wives as we love ourselves. You don't love you. That's why you're abusing the person you're with. I don't care if you're with her.
Thank you. And I'm going to chime in right there and sip some tea with y'all, okay? A lot of men out here today are wondering why women are using this emotional colloquialism about emotionally stable men. This is the reason why. If you're not emotionally stable, you'll slap a girl. You'll call a girl out her name. You see what I'm saying? You will go off the rails over any little instance that occurs because you're not emotionally regulated with your moods. Okay, for something so little as, you know, he hasn't caught Haley in the bed with another man, but he's suspicious of it. So he's taken her personal information, her personal space, and uploading it to the internet by taking pictures of her home, which is a very sacred place, especially for everyone. However, celebrities live in a different world than regular people do, right? Celebrities have a little bit more, in a lot of cases, much more, you know, to not have their life exposed to the general public. Okay? So if people know where and how Haley Bailey lives, they could potentially want to rob her, you know, harm her, anything. And you got her personal life inside her home posted on the internet for people to see whatever she has in her house to potentially want to rob this girl. Y'all already know about the string of celebrities that were getting robbed, still do, and killed from people seeing what you have, where you live, and coming to take it from you. And that is the mother of his baby. And that is why women are saying they want emotionally stable men. Okay? If you didn't understand why women, however they're saying it, in whatever capacity they're saying it in, that is the reasons why. Okay? Okay.
No anymore. It should never be a physical abuse situation. Never be. There should never be a case where my hand's on you, bro. I never had one. I don't know what that is, bro. Why is my hands on my girl? I don't care if I don't care how angry you are. My hands are not going to be on you, blood. I got to walk away because that's not about me. I'm not about to be in that life. I'm not about to be there for you and do that kind of stuff. He often calls me profanities, including the B word. He often called me evil.
I'm about to completely transform my.
Are thanking God that you guys are sipping with me on this Saturday afternoon. Thank you guys so much. We are reviewing the Haley and DDG DV dispute that they are entangled in currently.
Regular visits or scheduled visits. This is about control. The reason why he's not scheduling those visits because he wants to have control over Halle and what she does. And so whenever he feels like he wants to mess her up because he's not feeling good about himself, that's what ends up happening. Yeah. So he will consistently try to mess up her schedule last minute. It's about control. Why not set yourself to a regular schedule? You're not broke. You're not suffering with money. It's not an issue. You got your mum there. You got people who can help you. This is not about that scheduling is not working for you. You just don't want it to work for you. He demands Halo when it's convenient for Daryl only. I never knew when I will get Halo back or where he'll be. Based on my discussions with him and his mother, I'm aware that Daryl leaves Halo with his mother most of the visits, and his mother cares for Halo. I want Daryl's family to be close with Halo, but I believe Daryl should be present instead of just simply leaving Halo with his family for days. On January the 18th, 2025. Now, but I want to be fair in this and saying this. As he's a working individual, yes, the child will be left with his mom a little bit more. That's just natural, babe. Okay, the same way when you're going to be working on your tour, working on film, you are also going to be having your child with a nanny. Let's not play that game. I have to be fair. That's nonsense, right? He leaves a child with his mom. Yeah, I get it, but you're going to be leaving it with your nanny. You know what I'm saying?
And rightfully so. Also, what I see, like I said, of course, the tea comes across my social medias every single second of the day. And so I see DDG using Halo as a social media prop. It's always to say, I got the baby. Oh, the baby this, the baby that. Like, okay, great, wonderful. Why are you now, including the world in your parenting time and what you are supposed to be having as something as a bonding, encumbering time with you and Halo. So Halo very much so knows that you're his dad. You see what I'm saying? Instead of now it's you, Halo, and all of us. It's cute and Halo's adorable. However, this very fragile, time of Halo's life, the cameras aren't necessary every single second of the time that you have Halo. A couple of pictures, maybe a few seconds of an upload of a video of him taking his first step or something like that, saying his first word, cute. But your whole parenting time with Halo, you don't have to prove to us that you're a great dad. You got to prove that to Halo, right? Okay.
If you're on set for 12 hours, baby, we're going to take the kid in between sets. You're not. You're going to have a nanny there. So for 8 weeks, you're going to be out of bounds. Right, you're going to be having a nanny there. So just to be fair, I know what the lawyer's doing. I know what the attorney's doing. It's going to be smart, but let's be fair. Okay. On January 18th, 2025, Daryl called and said he was coming over to get Halo, who was just 13 months at the time. I let him into my house and asked him politely when he would bring Halo back. I have repeatedly asked Daryl to please set a schedule. He did not want to talk and refused to tell me when he would bring Halo back. The discussion continued as I walked with him outside to assist to put Halo into the car seat. I was buckling the baby into the seat and I physically got into the back seat to adjust the car seat. I left the front door open and was not even fully dressed as I was not even wearing shoes. Daryl kept repeating, "Get out of my car." Damn. Halo was crying. I repeatedly pleaded with him to stop calling me a B word. I felt very nervous that he was taking Halo with him and was very agitated. I did not feel safe leaving the baby with him in this particular state. I also wanted to know when he would bring Halo back. He would not tell me. Damn. The argument then escalated. The next thing I knew, things got physical between us. Okay, what does that mean? Because it got physical between us. We fought each other, wrestling and tussling. At one point, Daryl was pulling my hair. He then slammed my face on the steering wheel. Oh.
Why are women everywhere choosing Abby X?
We're sipping tea of what recently occurred between DDG and Haley in her restraining order.
Somebody sleeping in my bed. What is going on? At one point, Daryl was pulling my hair. He then slammed my face on the steering wheel.
And
caused my tooth to get chipped.
All of this was occurring while the baby was in the back seat in the car seat. In the car, on the street, you know, people seeing people. Haley is a celebrity, right? Paparazzi probably caught a glimpse of things, neighbors. So, you know, just wild behavior, just unemotional, stable behavior. Emotionally unstable.
Then stopped fighting back as I was in a lot of pain. I wanted to get out of the car with Halo, but was now stuck. Daryl then said that since I would not leave the baby in the car, he would take me with them. He drove quickly towards his house. When he arrived at his house, I was crying and told his family what happened. I begged his family, who were there, to help me figure out a schedule with him. They said, just leave Halo and go. I left hysterical. I had bruises on my arm and a chipped tooth. True and correct copies of pictures of the bruise on my tooth are here too. Now, I want to be fair, because he said that both of you were tussling. It sounds like you lost a tussle. Now, when I would say is him slamming your face into a steering wheel is absolutely ludicrous madness. Absolute madness. It is diabolical behavior. The fact that he slammed your face into a car steering wheel, that DDG. And see, this is the thing about also people who have parents and family who enable them. Because let me say this now. Something I now really appreciate, but you know, it's hard to still appreciate because it was painful at the time. If you get in trouble at school, my parents were like, if you get in trouble, I don't care what you did. You're the one in trouble. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying to you? Sometimes you need parents who don't just back you whenever anything goes wrong, because some of these kids are spoiled to the hilt. Mm. Their parents are backing them on the shenanigans and the nonsense that they do. Yeah. Right? On March 3rd, 2025, Daryl had Halo in his care. I was to pick up Halo at 3 p.m. that day. Instead, at approximately 12, I was away from my home. Daryl came to my home and entered my home without any permission or knowledge. He does not have a key to my home. So many of you guys were saying, oh, he has a key to the home. He does not have a key to the home, blood. I'll bring a copy of the Ring camera footage from that day that shows Daryl entering my sliding door on the side of my house and going upstairs. And after he entered my home, Daryl then went to my bedroom, sent me pictures of my empty bed. It sounds like a threat, my nigga. Sounds like a threat to me. Sounds like a threat to me. He sent a threatening text. Now I know what you've been on, which I understood to be accusing me of having sex with other men. This left me feeling unsafe and nervous, and that he would enter my home again when I was there. That's crazy work, bro. We cannot defend this as men. This is nasty work. This is how people get killed. I should say unalived. It's how people get hurt, bro. I can't back a man like this. I'm sorry, brother. If you're my boy, I've got to let you know you're absolutely retarded for this behavior. And you need to stop, because you're about to be in prison and you're going to go to jail. On March 7, 2025, Halo and I were both sick with RSV at my home. Daryl stopped by to see Halo. I had already warned about our sickness. I made it clear to him and I did not want Halo leaving my home because he was sick. When I told Daryl that, he became very angry with me. He raised his voice and became verbally abusive towards me, hurling bad names at me. He then saw that the Ring camera was recording. He unplugged the Ring camera, opened the side door, and threw the Ring camera out of my home. I went outside to retrieve the Ring camera. He then locked me outside of my house. I went around her back and came into the house through another entrance. I plugged the camera back in and called my family member for help. This is nuts behavior, bro. With her on the phone line, I repeatedly asked Daryl to please leave. I told him that he was being rude and I was too sick to deal with him. He would not leave. When he realized that my family member was on the phone line, he became enraged. Around the same time, I noticed that he saw the Ring camera was back on, and so he smashed the camera. I've recorded this and will bring the recording to the hearing. Oh, my days. So she got some evidence. Daryl, this is not looking good, bruv. It's looking madly incriminating. Daryl then grabbed my phone, hung up my call of my family member. At some point, while he was distracted, I was able to get Halo from him. Daryl then ran outside of the house with my phone. I followed, begging to please give my phone back. He got into his car, closed the car door on me. While I was holding Halo, Daryl then drove off and threw my phone out the window and yelled, go get it. As a result of the incident, I filed a police report. Do you see how many times you've had an opportunity not to mess around? Several times before we got to the place where police were involved, my brother. This is nuts behavior, bro. This is something that we can't defend. This is not something that we have to start being a male-centered for. We don't have to do this, bro. Like, what right is right, wrong is wrong. This is wrong behavior. This is wrong behavior, bro. And now it's in a police report. As attachment in Exhibit 3, a true copy of police card and incident report, which I've actually seen myself. It was filed on the 7th of March, I believe, 2025. Incident report case number 25039536. I'll obtain a copy of that police report for a hearing. The lack of schedule and Daryl's random demands caused me great distress. I'm a singer and an actress. I'm often on set, having to arrange my schedule at a time. I must be able to work. People begin threatening me, and this creates fear for me. Okay, I've attempted to work with Daryl to set up a schedule for Halo, but he refuses to talk to me and just goes live to blast me to his fans. I was also continue to try and work with his mother to try and arrange time for Daryl to be with Halo. I was filming in New Jersey last month and arranged for his mother to come and take Halo to visit with his father. In coordinating the trip, I learned that Daryl had purchased a one-way ticket for his mother to come to New Jersey and take Halo to him. He demanded I pay the cost of the return ticket and would not book it. What the hell is going on?
Less salt fixes high blood pressure.
All right, we are live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Remember, when you come in and get your teacup filled up, to like and subscribe.
I had a lawyer get involved in order to protect our son and draft an agreement to ensure that our son will be returned to me. I was glad that I could facilitate the visit, but it created tremendous stress for me and disrupted my work while I was dealing with Daryl's threats. The court should also be aware that Daryl's mother and I discussed further visits after the visit last month, but Daryl chose not to see our son. This is not unusual. Daryl often goes for weeks without contact and demands Halo the very day. Daryl's mother and I also discussed I'll be back in Los Angeles with Halo returning on May 11th, 2025. Our communication evidence in these discussions are attached as Exhibit 5. Then on May 5th, 2025, the night of the Met Gala, Daryl started up again online. He went live on his Twitch channel, voicing he was unable to see his son, implying that I was keeping Halo from him. He then created a firestorm of the media around freeing Halo for me. See various social media messages directed at me, collectively Exhibit 6. His fans then began accusing me of refusing to share Halo and being out partying with other men. Given the fact that Daryl's mother and I texted about whereabouts a week prior, and Daryl did not wish to see Halo after his last visit, the timing of his Twitch posts were intended to ruin my night, which he did. I could not concentrate to be at the Met Gala. I was worried about my situation again. Every time this happens, I feel scared, I feel anxious, I worry about Halo's safety as well as my own. I have noticed a pattern of Daryl doing this when I have events related to my career. It's given jealousy. Exactly. It's given jealousy. It's given jealousy. Although I'm trying to work hard to provide for our son. Likewise, the weekend of Mother's Day, May 9th, May 9th to the 11th, 2025, I left New Jersey with Halo. I left New Jersey with Halo and went on a short vacation with my sister. Daryl again accused me of being with other men and posting about my relationship with other men. I mean, she's she's single, she can do what she wants. That level of control is nasty behavior, bro. She's no longer yours. Let it go. Okay. Which then began, obviously, a true and correct copy of social media posts that Daryl began texting me. As always, this creates great distress. I even texted him hoping he would stop. Daryl, are you not tired of harassing me? You make up a new lie on me every day. I'm in St. Lucia having fun with Charmaine and with Chloe, not with any man out here. I wouldn't do that. I have Halo. I told you, Mom, I was going to be with my sister last week. Please let me enjoy my Mother's Day in peace. I hope you're okay and feel better soon. More recently, this has become extremely upsetting to me because Daryl refuses to work with my attorney to set up any schedule. Instead, he's threatening that he'll take our son 50% of the time and pay me zero support. It should be noted that he has never paid me child support, and I've never sought child support from him. I've asked him, however, to contribute to Halo's expenses. Only on one occasion has he done so. I'm contractually committed to be filming a movie out of the country in Italy on June the 7th, 2025 for approximately 8 weeks. I've been and remain the only caretaker of Halo throughout his entire life. I do not believe it's in Halo's best interest to be left with Daryl, or more likely his mother, because Daryl leaves town on a weekly basis, most weeks, especially for the entire 8 weeks. I'm seeking permission to take Halo with me to Italy so I can continue caring for him. I'm contractually bound to be in Italy for a film. I have family and a nanny who will be traveling with me to care for Halo while I'm working. I have done everything possible to avoid going to court. I've tried to placate Daryl by providing him access to Halo, even though he is not with Halo and often leaves Halo with his mother. I've facilitated his visits, no matter where I am, and often last minute. I realize that there is no placating Daryl. I cannot allow this abuse any longer. I cannot keep living like this. I never know when he's going to demand our son demand our son be in his mother's care, and whether I will be subjected to his threats and abuse. As of the day I'm signing this declaration, Daryl is in Miami, online, railing against me, alleging he cannot see his son. He is not in Los Angeles. I have planned on Daryl picking up Halo on Monday. Yesterday at a home in Los Angeles. His attorney his attorney has not responded to mine to arrange for a visit. This is not child-centered, and Halo is only being used to further his fan base and online presence. I declare, under the penalty of perjury, under the laws of the state of California, that the foregoing is true and correct. May 13, 2025. Let's look at some of these exhibits. Okay, this is exhibit 1. This is the bruising that's on the arm. All right, I'm guessing that's to do with the fight that happened in the car, right? Now, of course, they were both tussling, though. Gotta be fair, you were both tussling, though. You know what I'm saying to you? So, you know what I mean? But I hear what you say. That's obviously a chipped tooth after he banged their head off the steering wheel. Now, that's madness to me. Okay, you bang your head off the steering wheel is crazy work to me. Okay, this is the house where he said obviously he just popped in and then took a photo like it's threatening, saying, "Now I know what."
Thank you. As I'm saying, T-Sippers, right? We saw the bruises, chipped tooth. That should have automatically given Haley Bailey a restraining order. I believe it was granted. Okay, him taking a picture of her house. Now thieves, robbers, apists, anybody that wants to attack Haley Bailey. You see what I'm saying? Target Haley Bailey now knows what her house looks like because DDG posted it online.
What you've been on. This is threatening behavior. Absolutely. If I take a photo in your house, standing in your house, take a photo and send it to you, you will feel like it's a threat. I don't have to even say anything. The mere fact that I'm in your house without actually asking is a problem. And remember, he did not have a key. Number 3. Okay, this is the police report that she took. And remember I said to you the date on it as well, which is on the other side, which I think I remember as 7th of the 3rd, 2025, right? So that's on there as well. Okay, the incident number which she put into there. Next number 4, which I don't think it is. Okay, the travel agreement that they came to for Halo, which wasn't signed yet, but that's on there as well. Exhibit number 5 is a text message. I'm back at the end of the month. He misses you too. Yay, that's not too long, lol. That was obviously Sunday, 20th of April. 21st of April. She said, hey, just want to keep you in the loop. We'll be back on the 11th now. Haven't heard about Mo getting Halo later this week. As we lightly talked about before, if you will be in town, would you like to get him 27th and return him the 4th? Otherwise, I can keep him until we're back, but just want to let you know I'll be there on the 11th. He said, okay, I will double check with him and let you know. Now, he doesn't respond to the 23rd, which is not a bad time frame. I mean, listen, hi, I forgot to text you. He said that he'll wait until you get back to him. I mean, it's a 2-day wait, though. You really wanted to see Halo. Probably shouldn't be on a 2-way wait, but I hear what you're saying. I forgot to text you. He said that he will wait until we get back to him. Okay. And says, obviously, hey, I'm just thinking about y'all. So to be fair, I mean, this is actually good communication. You've said, not me back to 11th, right? He said, okay, cool. Like, it is what it is. We'll wait till you get back. Calm. And then obviously some of the people that come out and say these things, free Halo B word. There's another one that wasn't there. Another one, someone posted, one day Halo will understand the damage she has done to his childhood. # free Halo. And obviously messages have come up with people that are saying nasty things about her. Someone said, you're a horrible person for not letting Daryl see Halo while you're partying in New York and then taking him with you to a different country, etc., because it's based upon what he said in his TikToks. And then obviously a message that was...
This is exactly how a bra for
women. Okay, we're getting the inside tea from the Little Black Book. He is, reading the tea to us as it has played out for DDG and Haley.
Tomorrow, 8/27. I don't know why it says tomorrow, 8/27. I don't know if she was taking some kind of thing. I don't know what was going on there. But pretty much confirms Halle Berry, Brent Faiyaz. Rumors keep Halo away from DDG while Brent Faiyaz playing stepdad in St. Lucia. # academics or quoting academics. That was sent as well as a message. These were also sent about the Brent Faiyaz situation. And then obviously, DDG saying, obviously, you think you're hurting my feelings when you're really just ruining your own image. This is a terrible look, makes you look disgusting and evil. He's always trying to shame her, isn't it? Make her feel bad about who she's with and what she's doing. Enjoy your vacation, happy Mother's Day, but let's just have the same energy when it's my turn to have him. I'm on the same brother, you are hurt and you need to pay attention. And this is a message again, Daryl, are you not tired of harassing me? Which you put in there as well. Okay, so I don't want to talk much longer than that, fam. I think that was it, right? We read a good amount there. I think the evidence speaks for itself. Of course, we're always willing to see more, right? If he can provide some different evidence, then maybe we'll be able to, see things differently. But as of now, that ain't it. As of now, that ain't it. So for me personally, I think this is right way to go about it. I think Halle did the right thing. She quietly went away and put it legally. Isn't that what we ask women to do? We say to women, why don't you go to the police first? Has she not gone to the police? Why are we trying to double speak now? All of a sudden, why was she going to the police? Why would she now go to the police? I say police. Sorry, I keep saying police. Why should she now go to the courts for? You guys say we should handle things in court. I need you to handle it in court. If Daryl wanted to Halo so bad, he would have gone to court. Why should I have to go to court for? Well, you're saying she's a trifling baby mother. You need to go to court. Because if she's a trifling baby mother, I ain't saying nothing else, okay? Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked.
All right, we got our tea on the DDG and Haley Bailey. As I've been saying throughout, us seeing what all is what all, as far as DDG and Haley Bailey go, I wish her the utmost best support that she could potentially ever get from this situation. I pray that her community and her supportive family and people, in her life that do mean her well, continue to guide her and serve her best in her life for her and her son, her career, everything, right? It's more than meets the eye when two people just lay down and make a baby together. You must stand up and say, okay, well, I'm gonna, produce this level of life for this child. I'm gonna produce that level of life for this child. However, you see what I'm saying? The other person is producing that level of life for that kid. You cannot change that. You cannot make the other person, no matter how much you stomp, cry, fret, go anywhere, do anything. Okay. That person's going to carry out what's inside of them to be who they are in their life for whatever they got going on, being their self, their life, their kid, their family, their anything. Okay. So remember that as we are laying down, standing up, procreating with people, because you are not always going to like what you get up with and now have another human being in the family dynamic and equation with you. Okay, so with that being said, be cautious and careful of how we procreate moving forward. Okay, so now we're going to jump into Tory Lanez, y'all. Oh my God. Tory Lanez. So much controversy centered around Tory Lanez being incarcerated, how he came to be incarcerated, and everything like that. Okay, so Tory Lanez, a rapper, right? I believe he comes from Canada, and he, was dating around with Megan Thee Stallion and a girl named Kelsey, seemingly at the same time, and all of that type of sort of situation or whatever. They were out partying one night with the Kardashians as they were, asked to leave the Kardashian party. They were riding down the street, and an argument ensued inside of the vehicle, and Megan was shot. Okay. There was a lot of different, and there still is to this day, on who actually shot Megan Thee Stallion. Okay. However, it ended in a conviction of Tory Lanez being the person that was believed to have shot her. Okay. Tory Lanez was then sentenced to 10 years in prison. Okay. Bringing us up to date. Tory Lanez was just recently stabbed 14 times in a California prison. He is near death and not using his own lungs to breathe. He's seemingly on a ventilator currently, okay, to assist him with breathing. Now, let's get into this tea. I want to thank all of the sippers. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody that cashed app. That is such a blessing. Thank you so much for filling my teacup back up as I fill yours up with what is the hottest tea to be sipping today on the press. Okay, straight off of the tea pot. We're finishing up with Tory Lanez, stabbed 14 times in prison.
His 4-day trip to the Middle East by paying a visit to Saudi Arabia's crown prince. The country's de facto ruler, Mohammed bin Salman, will meet with Trump and members of the Gulf Cooperation Council. Saudi Arabia and other OPEC nations have stepped up oil production. Also known as R&B singer Cassie, was Combs' longtime on-again, off-again girlfriend for more than a decade. She's expected to testify after security video showed Combs beating...
Like, I clicked Tory Lanez stabbed 14 times. Can you please update us on what's tea? We know what's going on with Diddy. We cannot help but know what the hell going on with Diddy's ass.
The rapper serving time for shooting Megan Thee Stallion is in stable condition tonight after allegedly being stabbed by another inmate in the prison yard in California. Sources say Tory Lanez was rushed to the hospital. He's expected to be okay. He's serving that 10-year sentence for shooting Megan Thee Stallion as they left an LA party back in July 2020. Priya Shrithar is joining us now. I mean, people know Tory Lanez. What happened here?
Hey, Hallie, that's right. Well, we don't have a lot of information about this just yet, but what we do know from the spokesperson for that California Correctional Institute is that this attack occurred at around 7:20 this morning. They didn't give further information about exactly how Tory Lanez was stabbed or what the potential motivation could be or where he was stabbed, but they did say that staff immediately rendered medical aid. He was transported to a local hospital, and he is suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. However, several other media outlets, including the Los Angeles Times, are reporting that this was another inmate who used a shank to stab him several times. Now, just to jog your memory about what he was exactly doing in jail in the first place, as you mentioned, he is serving a 10-year sentence. He was convicted back in December of 2022 on 3 different felony charges: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, having a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. Now, this all stems from an incident back in July of 2020 when Megan Thee Stallion actually testified at the trial that he, after they were departing a party at Kylie Jenner's house, they were walking towards an SUV that they should have been riding back together in, when he apparently shot at her feet and told her to dance in the driveway. Now, since then, the rapper has attempted to appeal for another trial. He hasn't been successful in those attempts, but actually earlier this year, Hallie, Megan Thee Stallion said that he was using surrogates to harass her from jail, and a judge actually issued a protective order for her until the year 2030. Hallie?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news.
All right, y'all. Tory Lanez stabbed on the prison yard after he's only spent a couple of years, if that, behind bars. He's already been fatally wounded. Yeah, this is Tory Lanez's father speaking out about the matter.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming out and lending your cameras to the world. We appreciate you being here. My name is Sunstar Peterson, well known as the father of Tory Lanez, but his family affectionately knows him as Daystar Peterson. This may seem not even to matter today, but it does to me. The reason why he bears the name Daystar is because I was scheduled to speak in a conference in Washington, D.C. back in the early 2000s. The late 90s. My wife and I stayed in a hotel across the river in Northern Virginia. I was up praying before that conference that I was supposed to speak at that evening. As I paced back and forth in my hotel suite praying, I began to quote the scripture from 2 Peter chapter 1, and it states, "For you will do well to take heed as unto a light shining in a dark place, until the day dawns and the day star arises in your heart." I didn't know whether it was a boy or girl in my late wife's womb, but I heard the Holy Spirit said to me, that is the name of your child. That's why he bears that name today. Now we're standing in the United States of America, land of the free and the home of the brave. I have watched from afar, being a Canadian. I have watched as presidents innumerable and other officials place their hand on the Bible and swear a sacred oath to uphold justice, to uphold truth, because that's what justice demands. So before I go any further, based on a courtroom that I stood in 508 days or so ago and heard my son convicted, is a court in the federal reality of things that also holds the Bible higher than judges. And so I'm going to pray a very short prayer before I get started here today. And I'm going to pray that in the spirit of when Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, stood before Pontius Pilate. Pontius said, "Why do you not speak? Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you or to let you go free?" It was only one of the times that Jesus ever spoke. He said, you would not have power over me unless God Almighty gave it to you today. And I have come to bear witness of the truth. Upon which Pontius Pilate replied, what is truth? That question was never answered in Pilate's judgment hall. But I answer it for you today because Jesus Christ himself told us what the truth was. Truth is not a philosophy, it's not an ideology, it's not a doctrine, and it certainly is not a religion. Truth is a person. His name is Jesus Christ, who said, I am the way, the truth that leads you to life. Father, upon the basis of your word today that this nation was founded upon, I ask that every ear that needs to be opened, including the ear of the governor of the state of California, Gavin Newsom, I'm even asking today that in the midst of Mr. Trump's busy schedule as president of the United States, that this would come into his hearing. And so, Father, I ask you today, by your Spirit, because you're the only reason why my son is yet alive, have your way. And let this be glorifying your name. I thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. So my name is Sunstar Carlisle Peterson. I come to you today in the capacity of an apostle of Jesus Christ. A word from the first century in our times, it would simply mean ambassador of Christ. So when I stand before you, I don't stand here to speak my own words. I represent a kingdom and I am under authority to speak only what God allows. First and foremost, I really do want to thank you again, the press corps, and all of you who have vlogs and channels on YouTube or wherever you stream from. Thank you so much for being here. I would like to thank, in fact, all of those who identify with the name Umbrella as One Umbrella. It was actually launched so that my family would not just be the ones benefiting from whatever fame or fortune, but so that all people, anywhere that need a shelter could come under that umbrella. That's the reason why it was launched by Daystar's brother initially, who is known as Wolfgang Peterson. So I thank all of you who have always been an encouragement to us, who have stood with us. Those of you standing here today with free Tory t-shirts. Jano, can I have that t-shirt right there, please? Those of you who are wearing these and remembering this person, because I want you to understand that from the beginning of this, I stood as far back as 2021, and I watched where a spin doctor for the NBA, now high-powered attorney out of New York, Alex Spiro, ran a campaign to turn my son into a monster in the eyes of the world. At that point in time, God said to us, there is a time to be silent and there's a time to speak. We chose to be silent. And now we've been silent for way too long. The hour demands that we speak. One of the reasons why I stood silent is because I trusted in God, but I also did not want any blowback to affect my son, who was sitting in the belly of the beast. That's why I chose not to speak at that time. I am his father, and that is the second capacity in which I stand before you today as the spokesperson and mouthpiece for my family. Tory has 7 brothers and sisters. He has 5 brothers. He makes up the 5, I'm sorry, and there are 3 sisters. So today I would like to share a few things with you as well. I want to dispel a few rumors because I've been asked to by my son, Daystar, aka Tory Lanez. Number one, Daystar does not have a drinking problem. He does not have a drinking problem, and that was not the reason why this situation happened. He was not out on the yard, as it was about 6:30 in the morning, and cells were just opened for them to be able to go out to breakfast. On the Thursday prior to this incident, I was called by him, and I was told of the impending threat. And my family and I huddled and did what we always do. We prayed. We get together every single day and we pray. Sometimes it is twice per day. Wherever we are in the world, at a certain time, we're on our phones and we are praying. We pray for him. We pray for you. Because our mandate is not about violence. We're not here for vendetta. We're not here for any of those things. My son, as I stood with him in the hospital room on the first day, my wife being present, said, "Dad, I'm not holding any animosity against this guy. I don't want to take any action against him. Whatever the system does, the system does." But that is his stance, and that is our stance. But I go a little bit further, because this will not be the first time I've said this publicly. I bear Megan Thee Stallion no ought at all. In fact, we have prayed for her on many occasions in our times of prayer. So this monster that Alex Spiro tried to create, and when I stood in the courtroom on that day and heard a corrupt prosecutor dismiss the fact that so many people, it was overwhelming the amount of people that sent letters to their office and were called to testify before the courts as they were considering sentence, which had already been decided, and the judge blatantly showed on that day that it really didn't matter what anybody said. It was supposed to be a forum in which it would be decided based on all the extenuating circumstances, etc. But it had already been decided behind closed doors. It's so funny that there is indeed a woman who has made it her life's mission to be the whip in the press or on the vlogs. I'm not even going to call her name right now, but those who know, know. Everything that has to do with Tory Lanez, I believe that she is in some way compensated to spread these narratives. And so before the sentence was read in court, she already knew. That's really interesting to me. She already knew because she had discussed it with others, not knowing that it would come back to us. God is my witness. So moving right along, Daystar did not suffer superficial wounds. He was stabbed 14 times, 5 times in his back, 1 under his left cheekbone. In fact, his jaw was open. He was stabbed twice in the back of his head, and the rest in his torso, arms, and in his chest. It may seem sensational, but thankfully, like Dr. King, it was close to his heart but did not penetrate. After that, he was being rushed to a facility nearby in a vehicle in which he said, and I quote, "Dad, I thought it was my last. And having made my peace with God, I said, okay, God, is this how it's supposed to end for me?" But God said no. God told him, "Do not give up," in the car, upon which he turned to the attending officers and he said, "You must get me to wherever is the closest place that I can get to. I'm bleeding out here." He didn't even know his lungs had collapsed. All he knows is that he couldn't breathe. He could hardly speak. Upon which the officer turned around and looked at him and said, nah, we got to take him. He has to be airlifted. And thankfully, to God be the glory, he was airlifted. I want to report to you that I'm very thankful to all of the attending nurses, doctors in that facility. They have done an amazing job in their professional capacity. I would also like to publicly say thank you to the COs, the correctional officers that we have seen around him. In fact, these guys have been nothing but kind to him. The system is one thing, but guess what? There are people who work in the system, and some of them still have hearts. Some of them still have a conscience. So as I'm winding down today, I would like to report to all of you who care about Daystar Peterson, the artist Tory Lanez, around the world. The reports in the hospital is that he is doing remarkably well. I was told yesterday, because they had already taken out the tubes that were draining the fluids from his lungs, they had already taken them out by the time my wife and I got there. And I was told by the nurse, in his particular condition, normally they would have had to leave those tubes in at least a couple more days. But yesterday they took him out because they said he is recovering remarkably. All that is left is for the healing of the wounds. So thank you for all the prayers that have gone up sincerely on behalf of Daystar and my family. We are truly grateful. But this is not over. So I'm reaching out to every prayer warrior around the world who knows what Christ stands for. Please continue to stand with us. As I stated before, Daystar was not drunk on that morning. It was 6:30 in the morning. There was nothing like that. It was an unprovoked attack. I don't want to go into the details of how it went, although I know them, because it is too gory to be describing right now. And so as I close today, whatever has been needed to be said has been said. So as I close, I want to quote you David, the king of Israel, who said, "You lead me beside still waters and you restore my soul. You lead me in the path of righteousness for your name's sake. And even if I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." One of the officers turned to me yesterday and he said, "You would be so proud of your boy. He has been in here and he has been praying." I got there to the hospital the first day, and typical Daystar, he was entertaining those officers. They were laughing. They were just, and he said, "Dad, it only hurts to laugh." But something broke my heart yesterday when towards the end of our visit, he said, "Dad, why is it that my life has to go through so many trials? Why? Why do I have to experience this?" And that's the note that I want to close on, to tell you that this person they've been trying to paint as a monster, that they were so scared when all of those testimonies came in. People I did not even know that he had secretly done things for. This is a guy, he would do things and not even tell anybody. And one young lady called me and said, "I was struggling. I was diagnosed bipolar. I was struggling. My children said your son offered to pay my rent for 1 year while I could recover." The prosecution at the trial, when all of those testimonies came in and said, "Oh my God, you think that we were here to hand out the Nobel Peace Prize?" And that's how he dismissed it. But as I sat on the court steps that day, God records all of it. And I know that my son will have justice. I lastly would like to reach out via this medium to say to the governor of the state of California, sir, it is in your hand to do something about this. You have the power and the means to examine the evidence that has been presented even to the courts. This is a travesty of justice. And to allow my son to go back into that same situation, a kid that when he went to prison, one of the things he has done so far is through his music to open up the cases of over 467 people through his Hands of God project to help families who can't even pay for justice on behalf of their loved ones. There was a post showed up on YouTube recently, a young man saying, I'd like to thank Tory Lanez. I would like to thank Unite the People. I'd like to thank all of them for allowing me to be able to be taken off of 4 life sentences. 4.
Plus 74 years.
I'm sorry?
Plus 74 years.
Plus, like, I don't even understand that kind of math. How do you say to a human being whose lifespan is 70, 80, plus 74 years? 4 life sentences plus 74. This is who Daystar is, not what they've tried to make you think he is. He never stops seeking to help people, even from behind the prison walls. Governor Newsom, you have the power to bring my son home, and for all of the reasons that went before I even ascended this podium. Sir, you are a family man. You also have children. Please take a moment and look at your child and ask yourself what you would be doing if the evidence was so overwhelming. Would you think that this man should be free because he's innocent? I hope you do. And I hope you do what you need to do. God bless you all. Thank you so much for being patient with me.
All right. That was Tory Lanez's father speaking a very, speech about Tory Lanez. Okay. A lot to unpack from that, right? So, Tory Lanez's father did speak to some things about Megan Thee Stallion, and he is alluding to everything that goes on currently while Tory is incarcerated. Believe that, she has a hand in it. Sippers, do you guys believe that Megan Thee Stallion has anything to do with Tory Lanez being stabbed in prison? Let's go ahead and look up who stabbed Tory Lanez. Who stabbed Tory Lanez? Okay.
This guy right here is Santino Casio. He's the alleged attacker of Tory Lanez, who stabbed him on A Yard in Tehachapi Prison on Monday the 12th. Now, people are spinning the narrative trying to turn this into black and brown confrontation, when literally at the end of the day, it was just one individual allegedly having an issue with another individual who just happened to be a famous rapper, Tory Lanez. Instead of causing black and brown division, let's unite so things like this don't happen again. This guy right here is Santino Casio. He's the alleged attacker of Tory Lanez, who stabbed him on A Yard in Tehachapi Prison on Monday the 12th. Now, people are spinning the narrative trying to turn this into black and brown confrontation, when literally at the end of the day, it was just one individual allegedly having an issue with another individual who just happened to be a famous rapper, Tory Lanez. Instead of causing black and brown division, let's unite so things like
Santino Casio, this hombre, okay, right here, is the person that they are saying allegedly stabbed Tory Lanez in prison. Okay. So let's look up Satio Casio. Satio Casio. And who he is and why, you know, who he was and to get him into prison, okay? Thank you guys so much for sipping tea with Tanisha. We're wrapping up our hot tea topics today with the stabbing of Tory Lanez.
Peace, everybody. Welcome back to All Viral Access Media. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and click that bell for all notifications, man. So they finally found out who was the guy, the Mexican dude who stabbed Tory Lanez, and there's going to be a race war for what's being said. But anyway, the inmate who allegedly stabbed Tory Lanez in prison this week has been identified as Santino Casio, and he's already serving life with the possibility of parole. With the possibility, and look at it. His rap sheet. But anyway, the Post has confirmed. A representative from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation told the Post that Casio, 42, is being investigated for allegedly attacking a rapper at a housing unit in California Correctional Institution, Tehachapi, on Monday, May 12th, approximately 7:20 a.m. Pacific time. Now, Casio's rap sheet is a mile long that dates back to 2004. Where he was sentenced to life with prison with the possibility of parole for second-degree murder, degree attempt murder, personal use of dangerous or deadly weapon of a dangerous or deadly weapon, and inflicted great bodily injury, per the CDCR spokesman, whatever. So this is the dude. Now, again, we know that a lot of, Mexicans and blacks do not fuck with each other, especially behind the wall. Sometimes outside in the streets, it all depends on, what areas really click with each other. But especially behind the wall, you got to choose a side. So, Spider Loc spoke to, y'all probably seen this. This is from a day or two. Yesterday. Spider Loc spoke to a dude who was actually in the prison, and it was something like this.
What's Gucci?
What's cracking?
What it do, Fod?
Shit, nothing much to look, right? This morning, brother, the Mex came out and bust on the boy Tory. They airlifted him and all that. So that's gonna respond when we come off this shit. We're gonna respond the right way to that.
They laid the yard down.
No, it happened in the building.
What was it over? It was over some. What he had did he have a debt, a gambling debt or something?
Nah, nothing like that. Shit, we don't even really know. We don't even know the whole situation,
So it was just like some foul play. So it's gonna be up.
Yeah, it's here for sure. With some foul play.
Damn, cuz. Wasn't nobody right there with him when it happened? Wasn't nobody right there with him when it went down?
Yeah, I guess nobody wasn't. He was by himself out there. He got a whole tier full of necks. He on a whole tier full of necks.
Wow.
But you already know, once we get off this shit, we press some play on. We press play.
I'm already knowing. God damn. You don't know if he gonna be all right or not either, huh?
Nah, we don't know yet. He gonna be all right there. He gonna pull through though.
That's right. That's crazy because I've been out here. I've been the whole time he's been going through what he's been going through. I've been feeling like that nigga got railroaded. I hate to see him in that position. I'm glad.
Yeah, for sure, he got railroaded.
Yeah, he got railroaded. I'm glad that
that's an innocent man in prison, bro.
I believe it, 100%. How he been programming in there? He been programming cool.
Man, all he do is program, come outside, work out, play ball, do him.
That's right. I heard it's been cracking up there too. It was a riot the other day, not too long ago.
Yeah, it was I want to say 3 weeks ago, it was a riot.
Yeah, I got.
2 weeks.
You been straight though?
Yeah, it be cracking up here. Yeah, I just straight. You know me, keeping my head up high. I got 4 months left.
Listen, man, I don't know. It might be a race war because of that. For the simple fact, this dude is not messing with nobody. He just go to the yard, he eat, work out, things in that nature. You understand what I'm saying? So this is crazy. But again, Kelsey, Megan Thee Stallion, Rock Nation, and the rest of y'all, are y'all happy? And y'all know damn well that she's a liar, and you know damn well he never pulled the trigger, man. His fingerprints is not on the gun. You know what I'm saying? It's not on the magazine. It's not on the bullets. The so-called bullet fragment is gone. You know what I mean? You can't find it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like now looks what's happening to him. Like, y'all don't feel guilty at all. So they got an innocent man in jail. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna leave it like that. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Peace.
All right. People are coming through on some ends, of course, writing for Tory, saying Megan, Kelsey, Rock Nation set Tory Lanez up. Okay. Now we know what happened. Okay. They're saying that maybe it may be some blowback from that. You know, Mexicans and Black people don't, it's, you know, every culture for themselves pretty much in prison. So Jason Lee came out with some text messages that he had with Tory Lanez recently, that he's saying, you know, Tory Lanez is really innocent and should not be incarcerated. Okay, so let's take a listen to this. Tory Lanez case, new claims.
Lauren LaRosa from The Breakfast Club. Sorry to interrupt, but y'all know how I do. So I'm here to talk about Top Dog Law. Y'all hear Top Dog all over your radio, and I know by now that if you want dollar, you should also know this. You gotta call Top Dog Law if it's about your car accident. Don't let you call today to find out what your car accident, your slip and fall, or your construction accident for compensation with no money.
She hasn't went to sleep as of yet. She was at the club all night. She had a great time. She's a little twisted.
Was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named.
He overheard some things that changes Tory Lanez sitting in jail. That Tory Lanez is not guilty and Kelsey is. Let's take a listen.
So we are going to end our hot tea topic segment with Tory Lanez wrapping this up. Okay. There may be some new emerging evidence that Tory Lanez may not have been the one who really shot her. Like I said, this has been going back and forth since Megan got shot. Yeah. So compliments of The Breakfast Club. Let's sip this tea.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Miss Harris had where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun.
If he heard that during the trial, why wouldn't he say something then?
Well, now, question. I do have a question. Unite the People, I know it's a team of lawyers and activists who fight for social justice, but are they Tory Lanez's attorney, or they are an independent agency that just helps people in their cases?
No, they are, as I've been speaking to them, they are Tory Lanez attorneys. Okay. It's a group of them. It's a group of, there's multiple attorneys that work on cases together, and they specifically work with people who they feel like are put in a bad position because of the justice system.
Okay.
the bodyguard driver heard that during the trial, why wouldn't he say something then?
I'm not for sure. There was something about it. Actually, I do know the answer to that question. Give me a second, because there was something that he said about an NDA. At the time.
He said he didn't sign it.
There was no NDA. He could.
I don't know that. I just remember the conversation about an NDA. But if
he
you say he
didn't sign one,
I have no idea. But I will say people are asking why Tory Lanez didn't say something at the time in court. And y'all remember Tory Lanez came out with that letter, and he was accusing Sean Hawley of basically not letting him testify when he said that he wanted to. He said that he didn't want to take the plea deal and he wanted to be able to speak for himself. But this is interesting, like how this whole thing came up, because it came from a writer at the New York Post. Let's take a listen to that part of it.
The New York Post recently reached out to the prior district attorney, George Gaston, Megan Pete and her representatives, and Kelsey Harris and her representatives. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell.
Are you Austin?
Guilty.
Now that's a big claim because basically they're pinpointing it, or because there's a lot of theories running online that this is like a whole setup and blah 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 blah, and these attorneys are leaning into that. That's a huge claim to throw on Meg Thee Stallion's legal team, and Meg Thee Stallion's legal team actually issued a statement. They sent us a statement, and the statement basically said that this was already decided in court and they're not going to go back and forth. Alex Spiro said Tory Lanez was tried and convicted by a jury of his peers, and his case was properly adjudicated through the court system. This is not a political matter. This is a case of violent assault that was resolved in the court of law.
I mean, that's right. I mean, none of us really know what happened that night. We weren't there. But just like the attorney just said, Tory was found guilty in a court of law. And you just look at the evidence. Megan's testimony, medical records that confirm she had bullet fragments in her feet, the apologetic jail call from Tory, the neighbor who testified that they saw Tory fire the gun, the forensic evidence because the gun used in the shooting was found in Tory's vehicle. The DNA was inconclusive, but that was the evidence the jury used to convict him. So I just asked two simple questions. If you know they have all that evidence against you, if you're Tory Lanez, why wouldn't you just take the stand and simply say Kelsey shot her? And what reason would Megan have not to tell on Kelsey?
I agree with you 1,000%. But if this is a fact and this is true, what this bodyguard is saying, I think it should be listened to see if it's proven or not, regardless, because it could open up some other things. Because at the end of the day, whether you are on Tory's side or Megan's side, you want the truth, right? And if he knows something, he should be able to speak.
Well, why wouldn't he say that during the trial? If a driver or bodyguard allegedly overheard that conversation while the trial was happening, why wouldn't you say something then?
I'm 1,000% with you.
I know, and I do remember from the press conference that they said that the bodyguard, the reason why he came out was because, or came to like them with the information, was because he felt bad. He said he felt guilty seeing couldn't sleep seeing an innocent man, according to him, sitting behind bars.
So once again, why wouldn't you say something then? Like everybody was following that trial.
I guess it was conscious.
Everybody knew the evidence that was against him. So if you felt that way, then you should have said something. At the end of the day, choices were made, and the choice to not take the stand, Tory Lanez, and defend yourself and tell your truth was a poor choice.
I agree 1,000%, but you still want the facts. Like, you want the truth, regardless of whose side you on, whose team you on. You want the truth to make sure.
DJ Envy is trying to open up a dead horse and resuffocate it. The horse is dead. Tory Lanez has tried to get an appeal. They have been denying it, unfortunately. Now, prayerfully, maybe he'll get another one. I'm not going to front. I'm not going to hold you. I feel for Tory. I feel he did get a harsh sentence. However, they sentenced Tory Lanez according to the guidelines of California state law and what Tory Lanez has already have, in his arsenal of criminal convictions. So they gave him 10 years when they found him liably guilty for the shooting of Megan Thee Stallion. You see what I'm saying? So not for nothing, you're trying to revitalize a dead horse. If they don't want to open up a new appeal for Tory Lanez, even if he deserves one, he's in the California penal system. He will get one if he gets one when they give his ass one. And we all know that is how the penal system works. It sucks for a lot of Black and brown people. Unfortunately, whenever there was, the moment to stand up and shout it out that Kelsey shot Megan Thee Stallion, instead of him taking it on the chin for whatever reason he did, if that's the facts, he should have stood up and said it at that time, because Kelsey wouldn't have got 10 years in a California prison. Kelsey didn't have a prior, rap sheet. She wouldn't have got 10 years in the penitentiary, but your ass would, because of what you've already previously done, criminally, been convicted of, things like that. That's what, scored you to get 10 years in prison.
So once
People
again,
making the right
at
decision,
the end of the day, the choice to not take the stand and defend yourself and tell your truth was a poor choice.
Well, okay, so first I want to answer your question. So the bodyguard said that he didn't say anything because he was Kelsey's bodyguard, and he said that he felt an obligation to protect Kelsey. Now he's saying his conscience won't let him go forward.
It's too late.
Yes.
It's too late. His conscience is already in a place that he allowed himself to go to. When he had the moment in time to seize it, he didn't. And they seized him and put him in a California state prison. Okay? I pray Tory gets moved. If y'all don't do anything, y'all better pray to God that the governor moves Tory Lanez to a prison, you know what I'm saying, less high regard for the worst criminals. You see what I mean? So, yeah, that's, if anything, in the least, fight to get him moved. Then work on fighting to try to get him out.
And y'all thought I was asleep, yo. No. All I'm saying is he got stabbed hella times, and that's sad. Y'all playing the wrong instrumental for this sad stuff.
Why
Lights, camera.
Laughing like that? And then she be wondering why we be looking at her sideways. Ain't that what's the fool? What's her name? The one that was naked with her baby in the picture. Just hilarious. Like, that's not hilarious, Jess.
Ragging.
I mean, yeah.
We on, baby.
This is so sad.
Jess, we on.
I will say though, I think they've been trying to get Tory free for a little minute, and I think they have.
And
They've
he
been trying.
said in the album, it's evidence. He said in the album that he coming home this year.
Shut up, Jess.
Well,
He did say that. I swear he said that. Y'all ain't listen to the album. He said he coming home this year.
The funny part is y'all
I
can't.
heard Tory's album was really good. A lot of people gave it a lot of credit. And so that Tory did his thing. I guess he made an album incarcerated, and people are saying it was a good album. I never knew who Tory Lanez was before Megan Thee Stallion situation. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I've probably seen him come across, here and there in certain genres of rap, or however, didn't know who he was. But yeah, so.
And see, Jess, but she'll fall asleep and then she'll just pop up and let freedom ring.
Jess was resting her eyelids, and then we threw it to her. She said, "Let freedom ring." She knew exactly what to say.
Thank you.
Look what that was going Diddy. You was in Diddy's case. We ain't doing Diddy.
I was. Yeah, we're gonna get to Diddy. We need some time for Diddy and all of the things.
Do Diddy
Okay,
so
so
bad.
of course everybody's talking about Diddy's shit, right? We're not gonna get back on Diddy until Monday. We're gonna wrap up Tory Lanez. I wanted to get to the Jason Lee. He claims that he has some text messages between him and Tory Lanez. Okay, so this is Jason Lee.
This is me about a month into my jail.
I can find exactly where he talked about Tory Lanez. Okay, y'all. 1 second. Let's see. Tory Lanez.
I know how much she wanted to be a mom. How'd you know? I mean, we had those.
Have a little rainy day account, so when your rain came to your dad, you couldn't get your ass out and go get your own place. Because I recently texted Chris and asked if we can have a truce. She ignored me.
She read it though.
Huh?
She read it though, right?
I didn't check. I don't look back.
Okay.
News broke that Tory Lanez was stabbed in prison and airlifted to a hospital. Now they're saying that he was stabbed like 14 times. He didn't die, but you know, let's give him a round of applause. He didn't die.
Oh yeah.
It would be too much this week if Tory Lanez was stabbed and killed in prison.
God.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 14 times.
All right. Well, the following day, an updated statement was posted to his Instagram. Tory was stabbed 14 times, including 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. Both of his lungs collapsed, and he was placed on a breathing apparatus. He is now breathing on his own.
I don't know.
Okay, well, listen, there's a whole other situation going on now where Tory's team is alleging that the rapper was stabbed shortly after a news outlet contacted Megan Thee Stallion's team about their new information. Take a look.
We've been made aware that a member of the media, Mr. Gianno Caldwell, was working on an op-ed for the New York Post regarding Mr. Peterson's innocence. During his work on that op-ed, he became aware of some information in Unite the People's possession regarding a statement that was given to Unite the People by someone with information relevant to that case. The New York Post recently reached out to the prior district attorney, George Gascon, Megan Pete and her representatives, and Kelsey Harris and her representatives. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell.
I don't know, it's getting really spicy. So are they now saying that Megan probably put a hit on him? Is that what they're saying?
The fact that guy's serving life in prison, I'm like, I don't know how this works, jail stuff, but I'm intrigued.
Intrigued by what point, Marina? What's intriguing? Wait. What is intriguing about prison?
Like how messages are delivered. What are you promised? If you're serving life in prison,
Noodles and noodles. They will kill you for noodles.
You know, I just started Prison Break, that show, so I'm really interested
One
in
more
how
thing
prison
that I
stuff.
want to bring up.
It's
well,
really
listen,
old.
Chris Brown has
Jason
now
Lee
surfaced, and he
saying that
immediately
he
reacted
talked
to
to
the
Tory
updates and
Lanez.
said this on a story.
And it
Free
was
Tory.
something going on in the Texas, right? About the Kelsey being the one that shot her, okay? And who had that? Conscious TV. Conscious TV, okay? Conscious TV had the clip. So I'm going to go over there and use some of Conscious TV's fair usage, as I've been doing about my tea that I'm sipping today. Okay, there he is, Conscious TV. My computer is moving so slow today, y'all. But anyway, here we go. Conscious TV. And I'm going to see if I can pinpoint when he talked about it. Okay, he's still talking about the Megan Thee Stallion, Kelsey Harris fight the night of the shooting. Sean Kelly witnessed Tory. Jason says Tory confessed. Okay, let me see, y'all. I'm going to try to pinpoint where he pulls it at, okay? And then we're going to wrap this tea up. Okay. So I believe it's about here.
Really fucking sickening, y'all. Shout out to the motherfucking Conscious crew. Y'all just made me hella fucking. Now, last but not least, Jason Lee, aka Crenshaw Unlocked, aka
y'all go over there,
Bed
and
Style
always
Unlocked.
I shout out to all of my content creators, bloggers, podcasters. If I use your commentary under fair use, I always shout you out and send my sippers right over there to become subscribers and followers. This is Conscious, y'all. Y'all know I fucks with Conscious, so he's a great commentator, and he's up on Jason Lee talking about Tory Lanez stabbing. Okay, sip this tea.
AKA Flint Unlocked. Shout out to Jason Lee. I like to troll Jason Lee a little bit. He and I have a bit of an interesting history, girl, okay? We both be petty unto each other, all right? Jason Lee apologized to me for blocking me from the Hollywood Unlock Instagram page, girl, when I was running down on his good friend. What's the comedian name, girl? What's the comedian name? The one who was sued by the children that she allegedly helped Aries Spears. Tiffany Haddish, girl. Okay, you know him and Tiffany, girl, are good Judies. And when I was running down on her, doing all her shenanigans, girl, Jason Lee was taking it real personal, girl, and called himself blocking me personally, girl, from the Hollywood Unlike IG page. But then he went on my boo Sherelle World's page, who interviewed him. Shout out to girl, and he apologized, okay, for getting in his feelings and for feeling away about me doing my job, just like he does his motherfucking job. All right, so shout out to Jason Lee, child. It's only play for banter when I'm coming for Jason's neck. But Jason did an episode of the Hollywood Unlocked and revealed shocking text messages from Tory Lanez, who allegedly confessed to him that Kelsey was the one who pulled the trigger on Meg.
Okay, guys, I was right on the page of Jason Lee. However, Conscious is always, great at just telling the story, running it down. Okay, so let's hear it from Jason Lee and Conscious. Okay, so shout out to both podcasters.
And that he pretty much is taking a bid for Kelsey. Okay, check out what Jason Lee had to say, courtesy of Hollywood Unlocked. And of course, let me put up my fair use banner. You guys run those lights up. Check this out.
My little fair use.
In the text message between Tory and I said, yo. He said, what's good? I said, how you surviving that bullshit? Wish we could have sat down before you left. Because me and him hung out with Madonna when they were messing around. Don't believe me? Take a look at this photo. I said, do you have a number? He said, what's yours? Let me move on to the text messages now. Then we started to text message each other. I said, how are you? How you been? He said, incredible, in very high spirits and preparing to physically come home this year. I said, when? I need to come in there and get an interview, LOL. He said, I can't say exact days, but I know I'll be home this year. I said, how long you been gone? I'm so confused by your case. He said, actually, I have a crazy plan when I get back that I think you should know and be a part of, because I'm only going to do one interview. And he said he's been gone 2.5 years. I said, I want to be a part of that plan. He said, it's honestly a bunch of suppressed evidence that was kept away from me during trial. I said, Wack told me that, but didn't say what. He said, through trial, they keep saying it was inconclusive on the gun DNA, but I always knew I never touched the gun. So I asked my lawyer to retest it. And sure enough, I was 102% excluded completely from everything, just like I said. I said, well, why didn't you just say who did it? Fuck doing time for something you ain't do. He said, I took the rap for Kelsey, never wanted her to go to jail, and I never wanted Megan to get hurt or anything. So in me stop.
Jason Lee says in text that he's saying that he's texting back and forth with Tory Lanez, I guess recently, but this year, right? That he didn't shoot her. Kelsey did, and he took the rap for her.
Stopping her from getting shot. I got the raw deal. Crazy how life works. And to think they made me the poster boy for the unprotection of Black women, when in all honesty, I protected 2 Black women, one from getting shot and one from going to jail. Never said nothing in 8 to 10 years for them to live. It's a crazy, crazy place we live in. I said, but why you ain't just say that? Nigga, when I got shot, I told. And he said, I lost my mother at 11 years old. I couldn't sleep with myself. I was the reason for taking a mother away from her kid. I just couldn't do it. Tory Lanez.
He's better than me. Yep.
Okay, that's what
When I say nothing,
that's what Jason Lee is.
Now, I'm going to let Conscious eat, right? Because he eats them down to the ground. There's always three sides to every story. The truth, the lie, and Conscious TV. No, he be really telling shit like it is, y'all. He is so consciously aware. Like, I say that every time I use any of his commentary on for use and on YouTube and everything. Like, I hear he's got a Patreon about tapping. I don't really do Patreon too much, but if I do, like, it be the ones that be fucking with it for real. So, you know, he's just the shit. So I'm finna let him eat, y'all. Okay.
He's claiming. Okay. Now, I do believe that he's reading genuine text messages. I do believe that Tory Lanez genuinely said this because Tory Lanez is out here saying the very fucking same thing right now via his attorneys. Also, remember, because I know this happened a long time ago, and I know we receive so much data every day, all day due to social media that you guys might forget. But remember, during the months leading up to the trial for the outing, remember Tory Lanez's attorneys was communicating to media and to TMZ, and they were trying to do the soft launch of allegations against Kelsey. His attorneys were telling media outlets that GUN powder was found on their client, but it was also found on Kelsey, and that it was found more so on Kelsey than on Tory. That she had more GUN residue on her than Tory did. Now, mind you, even in this lie that Tory is telling to Jason, and even in this narrative that the attorneys are trying to spin about this new evidence due to this witness claiming that he overheard Kelsey talking to her husband saying that she initially had the GUN. And either way you spin it, in both of those scenarios, he admits to coming into contact with that GUN. Because even according to him, and according to this new witness about hearsay, Kelsey and Tory wrestled over the GUN. So we see more contradictions. I believe that Tory said this to Jason. Now what's interesting about Kelsey is, remember, we heard her full interview that she did with prosecutors and the investigators in the months leading up to the official trial, where Kelsey told us that there indeed was a tussling match. So both Kelsey and Tory are now agreeing that a GUN was involved. Now, mind you, this also proves how much of a liar Tory Lanez is, because initially, before charges even happened, he was trolling Meg about glass. You stepped on glass. Now the lying-ass motherfucker is willing to actually admit that a GUN was involved and that Megan was popped. But now the new narrative, according to him, is that it was Kelsey who had the GUN and that the GUN accidentally went off, which we've already debunked. Okay? So this is just more lying misinformation spread by Tory, who initially knew that a gun was involved. He knew Megan had genuinely been popped from the beginning, but decided to troll her and claim, did you get shot? Was it a bullet? Was it a gun? Or was it glass? Knowing all the while it was a GUN. So now all of his bald-headed, disgruntled, no baby hair having ass fans can also shut up about this glass narrative now that their cult leader is admitting that a GUN and bullets were actually involved. He's just claiming they were at the hands of Kelsey and not himself. Now, what's interesting, now that both Tory and Kelsey are on the same page, that there was a tussle. But the difference is Kelsey said she was fighting with Tory because he was the one initially with the GUN, and she intervened because she thought that Tory was actually going to fully unalive Megan Thee Stallion. So did Sean Kelly. Tory's own star witness in this trial, who not only put that GUN in his hands, but also said that he believed that Megan Thee Stallion's life was in the process of being taken at that time. So Kelsey admitted to investigators that she got out the car, she stood in between Megan and Tory, and him and her began to fight. And that's how she acquired all of her bruising, the bald spot on top of her head. Okay, he copied and pasted his own bald spot onto her. So now they had 20 bald spots, girl. But Tory's claims and context for that tussle is no. She was the one ooting, and I intervened to stop her in the process of what she was doing. Now, once again, Tory is the only one with this narrative. Megan put that GUN in Tory's hands. Kelsey put that GUN in Tory's hands. And Tory's own star witness, Sean Kelly, put this GUN in his hand as a non-biased witness who observed all of these shenanigans from his balcony. Now, here's what Tory and prosecute and his attorneys tried to do. They tried to play on an aspect of Sean Kelly's observations. They only put out one part of it prior to trial. Well, Kelsey had the GUN. Kelsey could have been the shooter. What Sean Kelly said on the stand, and we read the transcripts and all, girls, so please don't let nobody misinformation you. Sean Kelly said he was awakened to loud music initially. Then there was a bunch of ruckus and a bunch of noise. He said he got up from, I think, the second or third story of his home, from his bed, which also had a patio, a balcony connected to it. So when he walked out onto the balcony in the middle of the night, in the middle of the morning, he saw this SUV parked in front of his home, and he saw two girls swinging and banging down to the motherfucking ground. He said these hoes, baby, was stumping it out. These hoes was thumping and thumping and thumping, bitch. Okay? He said the assault looked brutal. All right? He said there was a man that we now know is Daquan, who stepped in to break the girls up. He said Kelsey had walked back toward the SUV after Daquan had separated Megan Thee Stallion and Kelsey. He said, but because of his vantage point on his balcony where the car was, when Kelsey had walked back toward the car, she disappeared. So he assumed she got in the vehicle. And then there were all these flashes of light coming from the vehicle. So initially, he thought it was Kelsey who was shooting at Megan, because all he had seen at this point was Daquan, Megan, and Kelsey. And Kelsey had walked back toward the vehicle and got in. And then all these flashes of light were shooting out of the SUV. But he said it wasn't until he kept looking that a man exited the vehicle, opened up the passenger door, had his hand extended like this, and all the light was coming from the GUN in this man's hands, who had his arms extended and was going pow, 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 pow in the direction of Megan Thee Stallion, whom he saw collapse. And that's when he realized there was another man aside from Daquan who was there, because up to this point, he had not seen Tory. He had not seen Tory. He had only seen Daquan, who broke up Kelsey and Megan. It wasn't until Kelsey walked back toward the vehicle, disappeared, flashes of light came from the vehicle, that Tory then got out of the front passenger and was popping the GUN. And then the rest was fucking history, girl. Okay? So what Tory did and what his team did was they tried to play with that initial observation by Sean Kelly. That initially he too thought it was Kelsey who was shooting, because he had not seen Tory and she had walked back toward the vehicle at the time of the shots. But Tory Lanez stepped out of the vehicle with his arm extended, powing multiple rounds at Megan. Now, mind you, this was his witness. This wasn't the DA's witness. This wasn't the prosecution's witness. This was not star witness for the state. This was their own witness, girl. Sean Kelly had done fucked around and alley-ooped the whole motherfucking thing, bitch. And that ultimately is what landed Tory Lanez ass completely in prison. Now, here's the question to anybody who's still questioning if he popped Megan. You got now 3 people who had the same observations. The victim herself, Megan, Kelsey, and now you got Sean Kelly, his own motherfucking witness. Then, of course, you got all the other corroborating evidence, right? You got the infamous phone call. We played all that. We listened to all of that, girl. We was on this shit. We do this. We was on this shit, baby. Okay? We was covering this shit like we doing the Diddy trial, girl. We was all up into the evidence, all up into the footage, girl, all up into the transcripts, the whole motherfucking nine, bitch. So can't nobody tell us a motherfucking thing. Okay? Tory Lanez is sitting here on the phone call, which was also played as exhibit. Okay? Apologizing to Kelsey. What fucking man gonna apologize to the motherfucker who done allegedly put him behind fucking bars? What the fuck he apologizing for? And did Kelsey remotely sound like a bitch who had just popped Megan? After all, if Kelsey had popped Megan, why in the fuck would she have been comfortable standing outside of Sinai Hospital waiting to get in to go see about her boss and her good friend? Kelsey ass would have immediately been on the run as well, because at that point she didn't know how this shit was going to turn out. So in the hypothetical, had she been the damn Ooter, she would have done hit the Greyhound by now, girl. She would have been pulling a Jada Pinkett Smith at the end of Set It Off, bitch, headed across the border, had she known she was the Ooter. Because upon them getting into the SUV and then police pulling up, they had not co-mingled the plan yet in terms of how they were going to navigate this whole thing. So Kelsey had no idea how this shit was going to turn out, whether anybody had home surveillance, girl, what Tory was going to do, if Tory was going to go down there and say Kelsey did it, Kelsey popped her. Why in the hell would the Ooter had been comfortable pulling up to the damn hospital to wait on Megan? Then to make matters even more interesting, Megan paid this girl's rent for a whole year. Once Megan had been got out of the hospital and decided she ain't want nothing to do with no goddamn body. Situation was too dramatic, too much was going on. She needed breathing space. She sent Kelsey packing and paid for her rent. You really believe, as petty as y'all like to say Megan is, as much of a non-girl's girl as y'all like to say Megan is, as much non-loyalty as y'all say Megan has, as problematic as y'all say she is, you think Megan ass is gonna even get on the phone with the motherfucker that shot her, put her hard-earned money into paying that bitch's rent for a motherfucking year? And you don't think Megan, if at the very least, girl, would have ran down on them both? Girl, if Kelsey would have motherfucking popped Megan would have had both of them hoes locked up, girl. Both Tory and Kelsey shot my motherfucking ass. That's how that would have went. Tory's story just don't hold up. It don't add up. It don't make no motherfucking sense, even in the aftermath of how everything was handled. And to make it even more crazy is the biggest kicker is not only the witnesses, the corroborating evidence that supported the witness's testimony, including his own star witness, Sean Kelly, but the fact that Tory was disinterested in taking the motherfucking stand was the ultimate period on the end of the sentence. And I find it inconceivable that the same man claiming I didn't rat Kelsey out because I'm not a rat and I wanted to protect his mother is the same motherfucking man who's ratting. In fact, he's not even actually upholding his own street code values, because he's telling everybody else Kelsey motherfucking did it, which defeats the point of pretending like you protecting her when she's the alleged Uda. And if you can tell your attorneys the fake narrative that Kelsey did it, and you can tell Jason Lee that Kelsey did it, you telling me that in the moment you're fighting for your fucking life, about to lose your freedom, about to lose your career. Tory Lanez is also a father. You're willing to walk away from your son. And you're willing to face deportation for the rest of your life and never ever be an American citizen again. And you're willing to do that out of some fake ass sentiment to be loyal to Kelsey because she's a mother. And if anybody believes, beyond the evidence on top of that Tory Lanez, who has never looked out for anybody his whole motherfucking life, will turn around and all of a sudden be wrecked with guilt and virtue and take this level of penalty for someone else about something he did not do. Bitch, you are 100% delusional. You're delusional. You're delusional. If you believe...
All right. We're going to wrap up Tory Lanez with Conscious TV, giving us his rendition. Okay, you drop it in the chat and you tell me what you guys think. Do you think Tory Lanez should be moved to another prison? Do you think he'll survive his fatal stabbing? So far, he's out of critical condition. Okay. Do you think Megan had anything to do with the stabbing? And do you believe this now wanting to be entered into the evidence that Kelsey, again, back up on the docket, shot Megan? Drop that in the chat. I want to thank all of my tea sippers. We're going to wrap it up with one more story, okay? One more story. It's been all hot tea topics of the men rappers, right? The male celebrities today. Lil Wayne, y'all. I know you didn't think he was going to get out of here without coming into the tea topics, okay? Lil Wayne's ass, girl. He allegedly beat up his girlfriend and put her and her child out of his goddamn house, okay? So let's sip that last tea, okay? And then I got to put my catfish on, y'all. I got to put my catfish on. Okay, so I really fucks with Nino Brown. Okay, he is my masterclass teacher of just life skills, all of that good stuff. Help me grow my YouTube channel. I'm in his master classes for things like that. So I'm gonna make a bite off of his Lil Wayne content right now and put him up here on the hot tea topics for the day. We're gonna wrap it up with some commentary from Nino Brown on with all fair use of commentary tea talk, okay, on YouTube about what happened, y'all.
Somebody done sold Lil Wayne a bag of dope, cause he done lost his goddamn mind. He about to lose everything he got to a goddamn saltine, just like goddamn Shannon Shaw, just like Bill Cosby, just like almost goddamn Jay-Z. Now it's Lil Wayne. Now allegedly, Lil Weezy beat up his fiance and kicked her out on Mother's Day. Now she looking for attorneys to press civil charges against Lil Weezy. Check this shit out!
Like, you literally flew me
uprooted me from New York City where I was living and brought me here for this bullshit. Like, that's crazy, you guys. Like, these men really be taking advantage. And it's not just the emotional abuse. Like, this man has actually laid a fucking hand on me. Like, nah. And I took it, you know what's crazy is they always say, like, we're so stupid for love. And I thought it was like a mistake. But like, I know other women he's put his hands on. And today, it's okay. We about to go back to the house that we live in together with my fucking daughter. And we're going to see what really goes down, because this is absolutely crazy and a new low even for him.
Now, I told y'all about playing in the goddamn snow. You're going to always end up with a goddamn frostbite. Check this shit out.
Yeah, this is actually a fact. Wayne literally kicked me and my daughter out on Mother's Day today. And I am just recovering from surgery. I am 5 weeks out from a full mommy makeover. I can't even lift boxes, but this man has his assistants and people coming to help kick us out today. Like, and broke up with me on Mother's Day through text.
And
like,
my birthday's next
and
weekend.
her birthday's next weekend. And I leave to New York to Illustrated Press. Like, when I tell you that I am absolutely on how to even process my emotions, like, if y'all got lawyer recommendations, please send them, because, you know, so yeah, I know he has 2 girls being flown in today, and who knows how many plethora of girls he has. I've been nothing but supportive to this man, loved him till the end of the fucking world, but...
Now let me put you up on game. Lil Wayne and Denise began dating back in June of 2020, but she left him in 2022. But somehow the couple got it back on track and they got together and fixed their issues, so she came back to Lil Wayne. Now you know these women can't survive without a goddamn man, especially a man with Lil Wayne money. You telling me 3 years later, Lil Wayne wake up and kick this woman out on Mother's Day? Her and her goddamn child got to get out that LA mansion today, right now. Tell me right now, get your ass out. Now her and her daughter homeless. Now ladies, always remember, the same power that you get that ninja to feed you is the same power you get that man to starve you. I don't care how rich a man is, I don't care how much money he get, I don't care how comfortable you're living. Always have your own shit. Cause one day this man might wake up and do some Lil Wayne shit on your bald head, Pookie Ezell looking like. And now you and your goddamn baby kids on Skid Row with the welcome to Walmart sign, begging for a ride to the goddamn airport to go back to West Hell that you came from. But the real question is, why every time a broke woman break up with a rich man, they trying to sue?
Yep.
Why they trying to throw the man business under the bus? Where was that same energy when it was all good just a week ago? Why is...
This is your sign
Oh,
to go
Lil
get the
Wayne,
316.
girl, he is ended up, ending the tea. Okay, he's ending the tea today.
to be abused in the past but ain't claiming when the shit went down? Now I could be wrong, but Denise sound bitter. It sounds like Lil Wayne just got tired of her and her goddamn child all in his goddamn refrigerator, hitting the blunt all day, drinking up the goddamn lean all day, eating up all the ramen noodle soup, little jitterbug in there, eating up, drinking up all the goddamn Kool-Aid instead of going to work or doing something other than waiting on him to take care of their sorry ass. He got tired of that shit. That man got Regina in his pocket. That man got a son in his pocket. That man got Nivea in his pocket. This man got everybody in his pocket. Birdman in his pocket. And here come you and your bald head ass daughter in this man's pocket. That man got tired of that shit. I wonder what she did to make Lil Weezy snap like that on goddamn Mother's Day after 5 years. Something don't sound right. Make it make sense. Y'all think he went through her whole phone and found out she was messing around with another salt team while he was on tour with Birdman, sleepy ass, and them old ass hot boy? What y'all think going on? Now the fact that she said she knows other women that he put his hands on says to me that they building up a Diddy charge on this man. Cause this how it starts. The next thing you know, you got a whole surviving Lil Wayne and the Hot Boy coming out on goddamn Tubi. They gonna drain his accounts and lock his little bad ass up. Y'all be calling our sisters gold diggers. But I don't see Bomb Quisha or Right Nisha threatening to sue Craig or Lil Wayne or goddamn Shannon. I don't see Young Miami in the court trying to sue Diddy for some goddamn money. She know Diddy a billionaire, but I do see Cassie colored women doing that shit. I see these saltines doing that shit. Make it make sense. See, the real gold diggers is them Karens. Them goddamn saltine that's sitting up under you rich goddamn dummies that want to marry they goddamn saltine looking ass. They sit around you all them years and collect evidence. And you thought she was loved. You thought she was intelligent. Her daddy and her ear collected on his ass. Don't let him play with you, Karen. Watch everything he does. He play with you, my lawyer gonna cook his ass. And that's exactly what they do. Cook y'all ass. Well done. When they finish with your ass, your ass be burnt. Cause when you cut off the relationship, they going to get Tony Busby or goddamn Johnny Cochran to collect a goddamn check. Now, I don't know what Nivea or Trina or Toya did to Lil Wayne, but he damn sure don't do black no more. He prefers his crackers saltine. Now, no matter how y'all feel about this situation, this is definitely not our fight. This is Lil Wayne, Shannon Sharp, Diddy, and the rest of them that like that other side of the fence. Y'all gonna have to defend yourself in front of your honor in the court of the law. And I promise they ain't got no heart in them type of places. They gonna hold your ass accountable. But do y'all think Lil Wayne gonna be able to fix this situation before it spread like a wildfire? Or do y'all think she finna finish him? Finish him. Do y'all think she just in her feelings right now and probably speaking out of goddamn emotions, hoping he call back? What y'all think? Comment below. I need to know what y'all feel about this situation, because they keep taking all our celebrities, but I'm starting to feel like our celebrities are just talent, but they goddamn dumb. Y'all comment below and let me know what y'all feel about this situation. Y'all make sure y'all like this video. Y'all make sure y'all watch it again. I don't want y'all to miss nothing. Make sure you
All right, we wrapping up with Lil Wayne, y'all. Lil Wayne done allegedly put the beat down on his girlfriend and threw her ass out, okay, on Mother's Day with her child, y'all. With her child. We're wrapping it up. Today, we've covered lots of hot topics, lots of men in the news. Mick One Drop says she's going to sue Lil Wayne. Orange whistling face, fuchsia white, face purple crying for Lil Wayne. Should have staked her claim. She might get alimony now. She might not. Thank you, everybody, for dropping teacups in the chat. We are the sippers over here, okay? Mick One Drop said DDG needs someone to talk sense into him ASAP. Parents should never put down the other parent or talk bad about them, right? Especially in front of the children. No excusing what he did. Yeah, it may be a mutually abusive situation, says MC One Drop. Okay, MC One Drop, I hear you. Thank you so much for commentating. Y'all make sure y'all keep y'all notification bells on, and I will be back to sip some tea with y'all. Today we did Chris Brown, y'all. He's locked up in UK. We did DDG and Halle. He allegedly abused her. She filed a restraining order. I believe it was granted. Tory Lanez and him being stabbed 14 times in a California prison. They're trying to spin a narrative that maybe Megan Thee Stallion has something to do with it. There may be new evidence they want to try to enter in, saying that it was actually Kelsey again that shot her. And then we ended it with Lil Wayne, okay, putting the paws on his girlfriend allegedly and throwing her and her teenage daughter out right before her birthday on Mother's Day. That's going to wrap up our tea topics. Thank you guys so much for sipping hot tea with Tanisha. It's been a hot day for the tea. I'm going to sign off now and leave you guys with this. Please protect the essence of your very fabrics of your fibers, okay? Thank you guys so much for sipping tea with me. Bye. Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, stay inspired and remember, always stay dipping.